Good afternoon, everyone. I am now calling to order the regular meeting of City Council and Housing Authority of Tuesday, August 4th, 2026. May you please join me in standing and singing the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh, the video? All right. My script's really wrong. I love it. Standing, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Now it is time for a moment of solemn expression, led by Calvary Chapel Dave Mann, Pastor Emeritus. Pastor, the floor is yours.
Thank you. God, we come before you again this evening, and we lift up our council, our mayor in Africa. Lord, we pray you'll keep them safe and help them to return home with us. And we pray for this evening's business matters and decisions that are before us. Guide us and direct us, Lord, in our conversations. We pray also, Lord, for our city, all of our officials and staff, our police department. We lift up the chief of police, the entire police force and staff, our entire fire department, the fire chief, fire marshal, the EMS, and all the emergency response crews, Lord. We thank you for them and what they do. The public works and staff, our city utilities, Lord, all the operations within the city of Costa Mesa here, Lord. We ask for your continued strength upon each of the ones that serve. We pray, Lord, for all the city businesses and residents residing here in Costa Mesa, Lord. We pray for their safety, their protection, their success. Lord Jesus, we thank you for your continued presence, providence, your protection and love towards us in our city of Costa Mesa. We pray the same for our neighboring cities and our entire country. Amen.
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 Thank you, Pastor Mann. City Clerk, will you please do a roll call vote?
Councilmember Reynolds? Here. Councilmember Pettis? Here. Councilmember Marr? Here. Councilmember Gameros? Here. Councilmember Bewley? Here. Mayor Stevens participating remotely?
Yes, I'm here. I'm at Kiramu Camp in Tanzania, Africa. I don't have anybody here with me except for my wife, Amy, who's not participating.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Chavez.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you, City Clerk. City Attorney, is there a closed session report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. There was discussion on the items on the closed session. No direction was given, but no reportable action was taken.
Thank you. Today we have no presentations, so now will be the time for public comment. Public comment will be heard at this time on items not on the agenda. You can also comment on consent calendar items at this time. Each member of the public will get 3 minutes if speaking in English, and 6 if they need a Spanish translator. Members of the public may now come to each podium to commence public comment. Once we do folks in the chambers, we'll then go to Zoom.
Good evening. My comments are primarily for the 2 councilmen. They're going to be left over after November since 4 of you are termed out. And I want to make sure that on top of their agenda, they have an ethics policy in charge. And if we had an ethics policy in charge, I think the last meeting, July 21st, there was an agenda item that had the understanding with the city of Irvine for the use of the beds of the Costa Mesa bridge shelter. Now, one of our councilmen is employed as an aide to the Irvine councilmen, and yet he voted on this. And I think maybe if we had an ethics, that might have done something where you didn't vote on that item. And then my other concern is that sending you to the League of Cities, I mean, are you going to represent us or are you going to represent Irvine? So in saying this, I'm saying we need an ethics policy. And I think that you're responsible to the community to establish that so that there are some guidelines. This way, we seem to be ethic challenged. So I hope that can take place with the next group of council members, because I think we all need to use ethics. And sometimes, I remember my mom always said, you know, just because you can doesn't mean you should. So maybe a few of your mothers didn't teach you exactly in the same way my mother did. Thank you.
Good evening, City Council. My name is Steve Smith. I wanted to comment briefly on I serve on the Animal Services Committee, and I wanted to call a issue I've noticed to all of your attention, and that is, so as you all know, I'm sure that we're in a temporary contract with WAGs. And our contract is going to end in December. And I wanted to let you all know this because during the past 2 committee meetings, the committee has been pretty consistent in its messaging that we should probably start moving on the RFP process sooner for a new provider. Whether we obviously stick with WAGs or we go with a different one is obviously that's a matter that's subject to your judgment. But what stood out to me and I found concerning was there was sort of a process-based objection that, hey, we've already got a number of kind of RFPs going and this isn't going to start until the beginning of September, and by that time we're only going to have 3 months to get the new RFP in place. And my sense is and my experience is that it'll probably take longer than that. And I know this issue sort of was a controversial one, and I think we have the opportunity to, act on this proactively and in a way that, make sure that we're taking the best care of our animals that we can, and in a way that maybe, further issues don't bubble up. So with that, that's all I have. Thanks for hearing me out.
Hi, my name's Alyssa. I come from a proud family of immigrants. The only reason that I'm alive and in America is because my grandma bravely escaped a camp in Germany. Most of my family didn't survive. My great aunts and uncles had their hands tied behind their back, shot execution style, and thrown into mass graves to be buried by bulldozers. It's eerily similar to what happened to the EMS workers in Rafah, Gaza. Everyone except for City Council member Arliss voted yes to continue the flock contract the same day that the National Defense Authorization Act, Section 219, was passed by Congress to have U.S. and Israel's military, weapons research, technology, integration, industrial cooperation intertwined. One of Section 219's key focus is artificial intelligence, cyber capabilities, surveillance, and cyber warfare. I'm sickened how easy it was for the people sitting in front of me to embrace techno-fascism. You cannot negotiate with fascists. You cannot reword parts of a contract and magically it's not fascist anymore. This is the same technology created by Israel and used for a genocide in Gaza. Don't let your legacy be that you sided with modern-day Schustaffel in their technology. Thank you. Free Palestine.
Good evening. My name is Rachel. I'm a resident of Costa Mesa. According to California Senate Bill 34, public agencies must provide an opportunity for public comment before implementing an ALPR program. Costa Mesa didn't even put the FLOC program on the agenda before approving it. It passed with 0 public hearing, and the expansion was pushed through on the consent calendar. Once the public had a chance to speak, we let you know how we felt about FLOC. On July 21st, you heard from over 70 speakers who asked you to cancel the city's contract with FLOC. You heard from one speaker in favor, the person who pushed for it in the first place. We came to you with our concerns, with the evidence of illegal data sharing, and many examples of why ALPR surveillance doesn't belong in Costa Mesa. And after all that, 6 of you voted to let the contract continue. You promised to look into some possible guardrails that might be considered a few months from now. This is not acceptable. There has been 0 accountability here from the City Council and the Police Department. We heard a few anecdotes about crime solving and a lot of empty assurances and promises to do better about audits. I personally brought examples of potential side door access of Costa Mesa's data. The Police Department claimed that no Costa Mesa data has been shared with out-of-state or federal agencies. The Council never asked the Police Department to provide solid evidence of this statement. That's not accountability. That's not transparency. I'm demanding that you listen to what your constituents are saying and get rid of the FLOC contract. This issue is a national issue and it's not going away. The No ALPR's National Week of Action is happening August 16th through the 22nd with at least 325 events across the country. Check it out at noalprs.com. And I'd like to invite anyone who's interested to join us at 2 p.m. on August 16th at Newport and 19th Street for an anti-surveillance protest and educational flock walk. Thank you.
City Clerk, I have a 1-page document under Allison. Good evening, Council. Allison from District 4. I sent all of you an email last Friday, but did not receive a response from anyone, so I'm following up here. At the last City Council meeting in which the topic of FLOC was agendized, over 150 community members showed up in support of terminating FLOC with 74 public comments. Despite having 100% community support for terminating FLOC, and despite Councilmember Reynolds revealing that the procurement of the original FLOC contract evaded democratic process by strategically ordering just under $100,000 worth of cameras, the 6 of you decided to ignore your constituents' interest and keep the FLOC contract and attempt amendments. Although circumventing democratic process and deploying FLOC in secret may have been technically permissible under the city's rules, it's a clear violation of California Senate Bill 34. The portion highlighted provides the bill will require a public agency as defined that operates or intends to operate an ALPR system to provide an opportunity for public comment at a regularly scheduled public meeting of the governing body of the public agency before implementing the program. We now know this didn't happen, and there is no procurement limit to SB 34's explicit requirement. The city's complete failure to hold a public meeting before deploying FLOC is actionable. The Attorney General or affected persons can file a lawsuit seeking an injunction that orders the city to halt the ALPR program until a public meeting is allowed for public comment is provided. Unless the city would like to hold another meeting and listen to 5 more hours of public comment against Flock, I strongly suggest that the council treat the last meeting regarding Flock as the public meeting that the community was legally entitled to, heed your constituents' interests, and move to terminate the Flock contract now in its entirety, effective immediately, and remove or cover all of the cameras. That grassroots mobilization you saw 2 weeks ago, we did that in a month. The public opposition to mass surveillance is only growing, and we're going to keep fighting for our rights until you show us that you actually believe in democracy and you'll represent your constituents' interests. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Michaela from District 2, and like many of the other speakers here, I'm here to just echo their statements and express my profound disappointment in the vote that 6 of you made at the last City Council meeting where Flock was on the agenda. Yeah, it is completely unconscionable that you would ignore the voices of your constituents and your people that you supposedly represent. You don't represent the police, you represent us. And we're not going anywhere. We are not letting this go. Consider it a career-ending move if you continue to ignore us. I just want you to hold that in your heads and your hearts for a bit. Do the right thing. Look at history. Look at how mass surveillance has been used in America to hurt people, to kill people. Someone mentioned Gaza. And yeah, the same company that provides all of this mass surveillance, multiple companies, they have ties in Israel and they are committing genocide against Palestinians. And at this point in time, if you can't recognize that fact and see the connections here that are growing every day against Black and brown people, against immigrants, against indigenous folk, then you've completely lost the plot and you don't deserve your seat or any sort of power. Free Palestine.
Good evening, members of City Council. My name is Carly Dean. I'm an Orange County resident speaking today to urge you to cancel Costa Mesa's contract with Flock Safety and remove all of the 46 license plate readers from our streets. Flock Camera's stated mission is to eliminate crime, but when a private company sets out to eliminate crime at all costs, it risks pushing past the law itself. They record the daily movements of every law-abiding driver in our city without a warrant or reasonable suspicion. A private, out-of-state corporation is now deciding how that data directs our local police force. Flock's automated systems gather massive amounts of location data to tell police departments where to concentrate officer presence. Leaving police deployment up to automated tech algorithms creates feedback loops that overpolice working class and immigrant neighborhoods under the guise of protecting us. Beyond automated targeting, these cameras put our immigrant neighbors directly at risk. Flock operates a vast nationwide network where data crosses through city lines and federal agencies. Third-party data sharing creates backdoors that allow federal immigration authorities to track and deport our community members. Worries about Flock cameras being misused is not something in the distant future. It has already happened right here in Costa Mesa. Former Costa Mesa police officer Robert J. Jossett used our department's Flock database to stalk his wife, his ex-girlfriend, and her romantic partners. Records show that after Costa Mesa Police Department placed him on administrative leave in December 2023, he still illegally logged into the department's Flock portal in June 2024 to track down the address of his ex-girlfriend's new partner. Firing one officer does not fix the technology itself. Now, with the expansion of Flock cameras in our county, the capacity for abuse will always be there. We should not outsource our public safety, or civil liberties to a private tech firm whose main goal is to line the pockets of billionaire technocrats. Ensuring a safe community is building trust, which cannot be done with the presence of Flock cameras. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Louise. I'm coming to you this evening in peace in my status as one of the people to give you notice and instruction so that you and your agents may provide due care. We thank you for agreeing to be servants of the people and for taking your oath of office to uphold and defend both our federal and state constitutions. We're handing you 9 envelopes containing notices for the mayor, all city council members, the chief of police, the county sheriffs, and a copy for the city clerk. The flock camera privacy rights notice has already been given to 50 state governors, to the President of the United States, to the Supreme Court, to the United States Senate, and the United States Congress. We are now giving you a copy. Please take notice the people have studied the constitutions and are aware that the sole purpose of government is to protect individual rights and that our rights include life, liberty, property, and privacy in all forms. The legislature gets its authority from the written constitutions, which is superior law, and statutes cannot diminish, amend, or supersede the original intent of the trust indenture, the Constitution, otherwise they are void ab initio. Furthermore, this is not immunity for unofficial acts. The United States Constitution guarantees all states a Republican form of government, not a democratic administrative state. U.S. trustees and servants have sworn oaths to protect all the people's individual rights. No government entity has authority to interfere with the people using their privacy rights except through due process of law, which includes the right to require claims of harm supported by sworn testimony and the right to a trial by jury in a court of competent jurisdiction. Finally, it is my wish, order, and demand that you as servants and trustees immediately cease and desist all violations of privacy rights of the people. If you believe as a government servant any of these claims are untrue and that you have a constitutional grant of authority to interfere with the people's privacy right by surveillance in any way, please show constitutional authority where you get that power, posting this granted authority conspicuously on the City of Costa Mesa website homepage within the next 14 days, notifying the public and all agents. If you cannot show where you got the authority and you take any further action blocking the people's rights to enjoy privacy, then any future actions will be construed as being done with malice, intent, full knowledge, and understanding against your trust indenture, your contract with the people, that would be the Constitution. This notice is given in peace and with the love of Almighty God, that you and your agents may provide due care to those who have all political power of the people. Thank you. And where may I give you these, please? Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and City.
Give us 1 second.
Sorry.
Yeah. There you go.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Molly. I am here tonight because what's happening at Lions Park is a complete mess. It's an animal crisis and it's a major safety issue. Recently, Parks Director Cecilia Gallardo-Daly ordered a mature cactus patch to be completely ripped out. The city claims this is done for child safety, but that is a lie. The cactus sat there peacefully for years. Nobody cared about it until now. The truth is, this is a targeted cleanup because the new Meat Coffee Bar is opening nearby. The city is prioritizing a trendy coffee shop look over actual park safety. By rushing to clear out this area overnight, the director made the park incredibly dangerous. Ripping out the habitat left a huge population of wildlife completely panicked. Their burrows are totally exposed. Because they have nowhere to hide, the main lawn has turned into a chaotic hunting ground. Every day, off-leash dogs are aggressively chasing these terrified animals right across the public walkways. It's a total free-for-all. On top of that, the city secretly poisoned these animals months ago. Now we have the added risk of toxic carcasses surfacing right where toddlers play and pets walk. The city traded a stationary, harmless plant for active biohazards and unpredictable dog attacks in the middle of a crowd. This is a massive public disturbance. It's a huge liability for the city if a dog bites a bystander or a child handles a poisoned animal. I am asking the council to step in and fix this immediately. First, send animal control to Lions Park right now to enforce leash laws. Second, put temporary mesh fencing around the cleared dirt so dogs can't dig up the burrows. And third, stop using hidden poisons in our public spaces. Please stop putting corporate coffee aesthetics ahead of the safety of real people. Thank you.
Good evening, Council. My name is Eden. I've been a resident my whole life, and apologies for walking in late. I, like many other people who are here tonight, are here to talk about the flock agreement that has been had. Last meeting, there was a very long discussion about the privacy concerns within flock on if other agencies or flock themselves can access the data. Since then, a news story has broken recently where a Texas officer used, if I'm getting the number correct, 38,000 flock cameras across the nation to track one woman who got an abortion. Now, considering that we have a Planned Parenthood within the city and across Orange County, there's no guarantee. Truly, we have a legal contract with them, but there's no guarantee that will prevent them ever from breaking it. We only have a guarantee on what we can do when they do. So, with that being said, I'm really hoping that you all cancel this agreement, that you undo this vote, and that you stand with the people of the city who showed up en masse to tell you how we all feel. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Scott, and I'm a resident of Costa Mesa here for 35 years. And just to follow up to my girlfriend Molly about Lions Park and what's been going on, you know, the cactus and the brush was removed very abruptly, and it just left all the wildlife exposed. And they relied on that for not only food, but for hydration for the flowers that were growing off of the cactus. So it's basically, they're just living in their holes now. And I think nobody wants to live in a hole 24/7. So they'd rather come out and be protected with this cactus and brush and whatever to protect them from the predators. Dogs are consistently off the leash that I see on a weekly basis, and that doesn't seem to be enforced. And now, with the wildlife running everywhere, dogs are consistently chasing, and I even saw one squirrel being captured the other day. So that's not a nice sight to see there at Lions Park when you're having lunch. So possible solution, let's replace the vegetation that was removed and give the squirrels and other wildlife some sort of food source and protect them from the predators. Also, the security guard that roams around there, let's give her or him some power to start, you know, I don't know if she can ticket these people or at least take their names, driver's license numbers, something, to give these people some kind of warning, because it just seems to be happening week after week, and nobody really seems to care about it. So I think if the security guard would say something to them, maybe they would start putting their dogs on leashes and everybody could be happy again. That's it.
Good evening, council members. My name is Melissa. I'm here as a longtime Costa Mesa resident to talk about the council's decision not to cancel the flock contract. You heard overwhelmingly that constituents are opposed to it. I appreciate that some council members did consider the numerous issues with the current contract and moved to modify to address them. However, it fails to address the fact that community members were not asking for modification, but cancellation and removal of the ALPRs. The community would like answers as to how the original contract could have been signed as it was written. Over a series of meetings, the council has heard a variety of issues caused by the presence of the ALPRs with the handling of data and with discrepancies between talking points and facts. You've been presented with numerous supporting documents from vetted reporters and primary sources from concerned citizens, but chose not to cancel the contract. Appealing to somebody's sense of threat or lack of safety is an effective way to get them to bypass reasoning. Comments made by the former police chief in the last meeting suggest that people who oppose this system are just operating on fear. I would suggest that those who claim we can only be safe with this system with no substantial evidence to support the claim are the people who are actually evading critical thought and acting out of emotion, or at least trying to persuade others to do so. Please cancel the flock contract.
Good evening. My name is Liam Kavanaugh, and like seemingly pretty much everyone else, I'm here because of the flock thing. I don't really have any new information to add. The other people who've gone before me have gone over the details of what happened pretty thoroughly, of the massive breaches of security and safety and all those things. I'm mostly just here because I'm just angry. Because I've lived here my whole life. I was born, that's why I've lived my whole life. I never come to these meetings. I never come to city council meetings. Last time I was in high school. I'm just here because when I heard that it passed, I wasn't surprised. It wasn't even remotely surprising. The fact that it passed 6-1, you could at least pretend like you care about our interests. You could at least pretend to represent us, to represent the things that we want, that we say we want. You could hear, excuse me. Just the fact that you could hear everything you did, the opinions of the people, the facts about the massive security breaches, the facts of how just flawed and awful the system is, and to still pass it as resoundingly as you did, is infuriating. To the point that a lazy bastard like me, who never comes to these things, is now coming up to tell you how pissed off he is. Just keep that in mind, that once you got people like me who never come to these things, once we start showing up, I think you might want to rethink a couple things at that point. Thank you.
You can go ahead.
Hello. Oh, hello. My name. We're good. Okay, here we go. Hi, I am a Costa Mesa resident. I plan to be a Costa Mesa resident for the rest of my life. I'm an educator. I am a community organizer. I put on Costa Mesa Sewing Bee. It's a really great time to learn about sewing machines. I just learned about this Costa Mesa police officer who used flock to stalk and perpetuate domestic abuse to his partner and what sounds like her family in 2023, 3 years ago. We know that domestic violence, particularly amongst law enforcement, is the most dangerous form, well, I don't want to qualify, but it is an incredibly dangerous and disproportionate number of deaths and, assaults onto women. It's crazy that we have a police officer who was put on leave for doing that. I'm just very disappointed in the character of every person who voted in favor of the flock contract as it was written, because you are not supportive of typically harmed and marginalized communities. You are not friendly to me. You are not friendly to my neighbors. Please rethink your approach to flock. And also, that's a legal nightmare. Don't spend all of the city's money in these lawsuits that are inevitably going to happen. I mean, look to any other city, any other state, like remove emotional feelings or political feelings past it. How does the city attorney, how do you feel about the fact that there is going to be a lot of lawsuits filed as a result of using flock cameras? That seems like a huge waste of money in an election year. I wouldn't. Anyway, thank you. I'm disturbed, but I know that Costa Mesa will do better.
Great, me again. given your negligence on the flock contract, I have a feeling we're going to get a lot more acquainted between now and November, which likely matters to half of you, not as much as it definitely should on account of being termed out. But for those that remain in their elections and those that are here in legacy, I thought we might explore what representative means. It seems you've misjudged what your responsibility is. You seem to feel like it's to make decisions in isolation in our best interest instead of representing the interests and the will of the people. You were given that will. It was not a request. For over 4 hours, people commented to give you that will, not counting the 50 pages of email you received, unanimously demanding not amendments, but an end to the flock contract, because the totalitarian style of policing that the flock contract entails is anathema to American values and to the virtue of the city of Costa Mesa. In your own absolute disgrace, 6 of you decided to vote against the record-breaking, unanimous will of the people who came to speak to you. So as other speakers have said, I implore you again, before you receive many more legal notices like the one you were receiving earlier, before your city attorney is not worried about how booked she is in October, but for the foreseeable future, being buried in lawsuits, to reconsider your position on whether your responsibility is to represent the police department, to pay a corporate oligarchy to harvest data on your citizens in violation of SB 34 and many other laws in the state and in America, or to do really the only intelligent, reasonable thing, which is to represent the people that your job is to represent ethically. As a final note on ethics, and since it came up in a previous speaker's comment, I did do a search for what the ethics policy of Costa Mesa is. And even there, your actions are pretty clearly in violation. From 2172.2, Statement of Policy. City employees shall discharge the duties impartially so as to ensure fair, competitive access to city procurement and opportunities by responsible contractors. I think it's very clear to everybody that this is not a responsible contractor, but further, moreover, they shall conduct themselves in such a manner as to foster public confidence in the integrity of city procurement activities. Do you feel like unanimous, record-breaking turnout of your constituents, all demanding an unconditional end to this contract, is anything less? I don't. Let's hope this is the last time you see me.
Thank you, everyone. City Clerk, is there anyone on Zoom?
Yes, Ann, please.
Hi there. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Excellent. Good evening, Mayor, council members, and staff. Thank you for the opportunity to provide public comment. My name is Ann. I've been a Costa Mesa resident for over 15 years. I'm speaking to you tonight again on the topic of flock. I think you're going to be hearing a lot about that. I had a few takeaways reflecting on the July 21st City Council meeting. One, I was incredibly proud of my fellow Costa Mesa residents who showed up en masse and spoke on this topic for hours passionately. I heard a lot of voices from different walks of life expressing deep concerns about the negative impacts mass surveillance could have on personal safety, privacy, and our rights. I also heard concerns about prioritizing corporate profit over community needs. These are all valid concerns. Two, I did appreciate that there were thoughtful questions asked and discussion amongst those of you on the dais. Councilmember Gameros, you, for example, made some observations about how the concerns are with the overall way flock operates. And several of you noted that there was no flock representatives in attendance, which was poor form to say the least. Councilmember Reynolds asked really important questions about how many people across the state have access to our data and how each of these access points is a real vulnerability. While I appreciate that the city is reviewing the flock contract for ways to improve the contract language, like others have said, that's not what we're asking for, and that won't protect our data. Plus, as other speakers have mentioned, the flock program was introduced without the required public hearing in violation of SB 34. That's a pretty big problem right there. And none of this is acceptable. This is why we've asked you to cancel the contract, like many other cities have done, including Los Angeles. The bottom line is the resounding, overwhelming theme from your constituents after hours of public comment was, we don't want mass surveillance in Costa Mesa. The people who are asking you for this, we're everyday people. We're moms, we're dads, sisters, brothers, sons, cousins, grandparents. We work and serve in our communities. We do not, as Garrett Langley, Flock CEO, wrote in a December 5th, 2025 email, want to defund the police, weaken public safety, or normalize lawlessness. On the contrary, we care very deeply about public safety, but mass surveillance doesn't guarantee that. In a July 28th, 2026 article by Matt Scott that was submitted to you all for public comment via email, the author reviews FBI data from Atlanta where 5,000 flock cameras plus thousands of other integrated surveillance cameras have failed to significantly improve the clearance rate of crime. I ask this council to consider the following as you move forward. 1, like we've said, your community doesn't want this. 2, mass surveillance doesn't equate to reduced crime or increased clearance rates. And 3, the program was introduced in violation of SB 34. You were given the trust of the community. Please, we need you to be leaders, not politicians. We're urging you to cancel the flock contract. Thank you.
And next speaker is Livy.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. My name is Olivia. I've spent much of my free time eating, shopping, and spending time in Costa Mesa with my friends and family. I'm here as a Costa Mesa community member and with Sunrise Orange County to demand that you listen to your constituents, cancel your flock contract, and keep all ALPRs out of Costa Mesa. I don't want to come to Costa Mesa with my loved ones anymore because we don't feel safe knowing our every move is being tracked by flock ALPRs. It's a major invasion of our privacy, as I previously pointed out, and the door is wide open for misuse, as we've seen with Costa Mesa's own police department. Not to mention, there's no empirical evidence that ALPRs prevent or reduce crime. In the presentation given by the Costa Mesa Police Department last week, the PD presented no causal evidence provided that flock cameras reduce or clear crime in Costa Mesa. To the contrary, Atlanta's 8-fold increase to about 28,000 ALPRs has not meaningfully contributed to crime clearance rates over there in Georgia. And it's outrageous that you continue defending and voting for a surveillance technology that Costa Mesans unanimously opposed, as Mayor Stevens pointed out last meeting. I waited 6 hours after work to deliver my public comment regarding my fears about flock and listen to almost 5 hours of the overwhelming community outcry telling you, like I did, that ALPRs do not make our community safer. In fact, they potentially endanger us more. You represent us, not the police department or flock's interests. We didn't ask for alternatives. We didn't ask for guardrails. We didn't ask for tighter contract language. Listen to the community. Listen to your constituents, terminate the flock contract, and keep all ALPRs out of Costa Mesa. Please protect us. Thank you.
The next speaker is Priscilla.
Good evening, City Council. Remember that time I sent information warning you and the Planning Commission that free money was blinding you into authorizing more than 60 cannabis shops in Costa Mesa? Remember how your decision inadvertently redirected city staff away from the housing element for a year, angered residents, and brought more lawsuits to the city, which we ended up paying with our tax dollars? Now I know after some time on the dais, council members' vision adjusts to only seeing the shining city of the arts. But down here in the trenches, Costa Mesans are struggling to survive. Billions of our tax dollars have been rerouted from our needs, that of hungry children, cancer and Ebola victims, and elderly, directed towards Trump's dismantling of our democracy. He started an illegal war, abolished women's bodily autonomy, replaced experts in the military with Fox News hosts, sent Doge to steal our Social Security information, tried his political enemies like Dr. Fauci, and built his own private militia. Do I have to remind you that the flock system was designed to share data, not to secure it? And the only goal of the company and its backers is profit, full stop. How can you not see that this is the government surveillance system outlined in Project 2025? John Oliver reported on Last Week Tonight that flock cameras are always installed in a city without public knowledge or input. They're always concentrated in minority communities. And although police say flock is indispensable to their work, the license plate readers are incorrect 35 to 37% of the time. Without our approval, you are using our tax dollars to violate our Fourth Amendment rights against warrantless search and seizure, while presenting Trump with another taxpayer-funded weapon to jail anyone he wishes. If Trump ignores the law, Congress, the Constitution, and the Bill of Rights, what makes you think a new flock contract, new access rules, and more oversight will protect us from him? The only thing stopping Trump from weaponizing this system against anyone nationwide is an emergency order. I used to document the life cycle of enormous mainframe computer systems like TRW Credit Services. And I'm telling you, if this council votes to keep flock, the damage won't be confined to Costa Mesa. It will put another nail in the coffin of our democracy itself. First, they came for the criminals, and I did nothing.
No further speakers.
Thank you, City Clerk, and thank you, City Clerk, and thank you everyone who joined us today for public comment. This is now the time for council members to provide their comments and committee reports. First up is from District 5 is Councilmember Reynolds.
Okay. Thanks everyone for the public comment. I guess I'll start with flock. I do want to thank the community members who spoke at our previous meeting, who spoke tonight, who've continued to share emails and share information on this subject. I learned a lot that night. I've continued to learn quite a bit from additional information. It's a conversation at every coffee hour at the dinner table. A lot of really, really thoughtful conversations with people from a lot of different perspectives. I do want to thank our PD team who sat down with me and walked through the system and how we use it. I do remain very concerned. I think that actually the more I learn about it, the more I'm concerned about the tech and the vulnerabilities. I do want to be clear. I'm appreciate that it can be used as a helpful tool. I'm not concerned about how our PD plans to use it. I'm just concerned about the vulnerabilities and our limited ability to protect it from abuse. And so I do encourage people to stay engaged. I think it's something that's frightening, frankly, in the way it can be abused and has been abused. I have requested, and I know is in process, some clarity on the final motion because that was a bit confusing that night. And I appreciate that the city clerk is working on that. I would appreciate a note also from the city attorney. You can follow up on this later, but on the question of if we were in violation of SB 34, as noted tonight. Yeah, and I pledge to continue to learn more. Okay, block. A couple other things. There were some comments on Lions Park. I wasn't aware of some of those things. If we can just get a quick report from the city manager on that. I said report, quick email. Just what's going on there. I was there last weekend and noticed the planters a little bit barren, but I wasn't aware of a broader project or the issues raised. Certainly, leash laws do need to be enforced. Public Works, I guess this is our communications team, just shout out, I really, really like the messages showing kind of the day-to-day work of our Public Works team. It's been something I've been pushing for a long time, and I think it's really helpful to see, the storm drain cleanup, that was the latest one I saw, graffiti abatement, just showing the great work that we're doing on a day-to-day basis to maintain the city. I encourage more of it. The end of this month, there's an exciting celebration hosted by the Costa Mesa Historical Society, celebrating our 60th anniversary. I know many folks have been working very hard on that event. There's both a community festival on the Saturday, I think, August 29th, and then a kind of a dinner fundraiser gala on August 30th. It's really fun to learn about Costa Mesa history. We're a young city, a city that changed quite a bit, but has already had sort of different eras. It's really fun to hear from people who've been here basically since the beginning of the city being founded. So I encourage you to attend either or both the community celebration and the gala. Two more items. It's been a while since I've spoken about the Costa Mesa mutual aid work. I want to just acknowledge that while it hasn't been kind of the top of the news for several months, immigration activity is still happening in Costa Mesa. Mutual aid activity is still happening in Costa Mesa, and I'm so grateful for the people who are continuing to work on that really on a daily basis. One big step that the Costa Mesa Mutual Aid Group has done is build a website to make it easier for people to contribute financially to those efforts. And one thing I would encourage folks to do is sign up for a monthly donation. So they've worked hard doing bulk purchases. So they're feeding families who are impacted by immigration raids $26 a month per family. So I've signed up for a monthly $26 donation. If you go to CostaMesaMutualAid.com, you can sign up for a similar monthly donation or one-time donations. I do want to get the word out on that. Finally, one other conversation that I had and I'm really excited about is a growing collaboration of our active transportation activists and advocates and enthusiasts really coming together on the conversation of e-bike safety. We know there's a challenge, this is a different challenge with a new technology, I guess, being introduced to our community, one that I do promote, but we need to do it safely. And I do think that there's a dearth of opportunities for learning how to ride an e-bike safety in our community, whether you're a teen or an adult. And so there's some great collaborations happening now on figuring out how to provide free opportunities for community members to learn how to ride e-bikes safely. And I know that's going to be discussed at the Active Transportation Committee. I wanted to say it here to invite other people into that conversation if they want to get involved. So thank you to everybody who's doing good work in Costa Mesa.
Thank you, Councilmember Reynolds. Now we'll have from District 6, Councilmember Jeff Pettis.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Chavez. Appreciate it. I mainly wanted to talk about tonight my appreciation to staff, police, and fire for putting together the town hall that we had on the 23rd at the last 23rd July at the Norma Herzog Community Center for the just kind of briefing the public on what's going on with Fairview Development Center. So thank you to staff for putting that on. I know it was a big deal. It was a lot of work that went into that. And, you know, we have a very well-informed citizenry that lives in Costa Mesa. It's been my pleasure to hear from them throughout the last couple of years. And actually prior to that, thinking about running for elected office, I ran into a lot of really smart people that have been here for many, many years, different generations of folks. So these people primarily just want to be heard. And the only watch out I would have on things like this is when they're seeking to be heard or make their voices known, the response can be sometimes not just from the staff, but anywhere in our government, you know, overloading them with zoning and planning wonkery sometimes is the answer to their question or their concerns. Is sometimes not the best approach, and I'm not trying to tell anybody how to do their job, but this FDC is a big deal to them, and they want, deserve, and need to have input in this process, and I feel that they really haven't up until this point. An example would be like the traffic thing. I know that we have basically 4,000 units that are going to go in there. Anybody with two eyes can see that traffic is going to be a nightmare in Harbor. But the answer to those concerns is, hey, we did a traffic study and don't worry about it, it'll be fine. I've just gotten inundated by that being an unacceptable response. So I'm not judging people on their job. What I am suggesting is that we pay close attention to what the citizens have to say about this. So that's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. And now we'll have Councilmember Bewley from District 1.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, members of the public. I'll be kind of brief tonight, but I did want to give a shout out to Travel Costa Mesa and staff on very short notice. They put together, they kind of rolled out the red carpet. We had a contingency from the Chinese Olympic Committee who were in town looking to scout facilities and maybe use our facilities to host some of their athletes and then some of their traveling people. And, you know, it's wonderful to see everybody come together, coordinate. City manager was there. We had council members, Marr and Reynolds and Pro Tem Chavez and myself and a number of staff. And it was just a good showing. And South Coast Plaza kind of rolled out the red carpet to host the contingency. And it was just kudos to staff and everybody on short notice to get out there and make Costa Mesa look good and maybe attract a lot of some of this business that we hope to generate here in the 2028 Olympics. Additionally, OC Fair's in full swing. I encourage everybody to get out there, and they got more concerts coming and great night of events, and it's just one of the great aspects of our city that we can host that county fair every year. And as far as the flock commentary tonight, I know that's going to be on our agenda in the not too distant future. So all I'll say is it is a very difficult issue. It's interesting and it's encouraging to see the engagement of the public on this. And I'm going to reserve the majority of my comments for the night that it's on the agenda. But I'm a First Amendment free speech guy, and I fully appreciate that democracy in action with people out here voicing their concerns. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Now we'll have from District 2, Councilmember Lauren Gameros.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some of our public services. Recently, we had a longtime fire veteran, Justin Horner, that was promoted to battalion chief. So I just wanted to recognize him and say congratulations. He's been with the department for since 2005, and he was promoted to captain in 2017, and he's been serving as administrative captain assigned to the full-time EMS station. So we're really happy to see that promotion. Thank you very much for what you're doing, and want to thank the fire department on that. Also want to recognize that we just had our fire recruits to learn truck company operations, as week 4 of their training is now in the books. The CMFR recruits recently completed week 4 of the Costa Mesa Fire and Rescue Recruit Academy. The recruits focused on truck company operations with an emphasis on ground ladder deployment and vertical ventilation. I know there's a lot of discipline in there, and I also know that our fire department takes good care of our trainees that are coming in as recruits, and it's going to be great to see where they go. In closing, I want to say that I'm definitely paying attention and listening to the community and the constituents' concerns regarding flock. We're working on this as a group publicly. We're going to see where we can go with this and try and make the best decisions we can. Like you've all heard, it's a very tough decision, and it's really difficult to weed through this, but we're doing our best, and we're working hand in hand with the city attorney, with the police department, and with flock. The last thing I want to speak about is we're going through a heat wave. We have cooling centers in the city of Costa Mesa. The senior center is a great place to go and cool off if you need to do so. And if you're having an emergency, of course, you can go to any city structure, city hall, fire department, if you are in need. Other than that, that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilmember Gameros. Now we'll have Councilmember Marr from District 3.
Yeah, thanks everyone. I just want to acknowledge the students and the scouts who were in the room earlier. You know, this is part of democracy. Not everyone's going to agree with your decision all the time, and the important thing is that we listen to each other and try to learn what we can. Also want to give a shout out to staff for the Fairview Developmental Center specific plan meeting. I thought it was really, really well done. We managed to answer as many questions as possible. Again, I don't think everybody likes all the answers to all of the questions, but we did our best to explain the current position that we're in, what we can change, what we can't change. And for those of you tracking this process intimately, it will be back before council. We'll have another late night as your chance to give input on essentially the design of the only parcel left in the city that will have a really, really meaningful impact on housing moving forward. It's also in my district. As the previous speaker pointed out, we do not have an ethics policy that was not approved by council when it was brought. I think there was an appetite for it to come back. We're quickly running out of time before some of us are termed out. Whether that happens on my watch or not, it would be something that I would fully support bringing back if I have the support of others on council to do. Kind of on a related note, I've been looking at some of the campaign filings. This is for the city attorney and the city manager. I think we do need to formalize a tracking mechanism for those contributions. The law has changed in terms of what council members need to track for how long and when to recuse themselves. And we don't currently have a good method to hold council members accountable for contributions that they've received. And judging by some of what I'm seeing, there's going to be a lot to track. And then I agree with Councilmember Bewley. It's been really fun to see the impact of the Olympics. I was pretty bummed when we first found out that we weren't going to have any athletic sites, that there weren't going to be any Olympic events in Costa Mesa. But instead, we might get teams from all over the world who are staying here, staying in our hotels, training in our facilities. And so LA 28 is coming up, and it's very cool to see that we're going to play a role as a city in that. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Moore. Joining us from Africa, Mayor Stevens, do you have any comments tonight?
Hi, Mayor Pro Tem. Hi, Mayor Pro Tem and the council. I don't have any comments. Greetings from the Serengeti, and the next time I see you, I'll show you some pretty spectacular pictures. I'm on the phone now, so this is much better. I've got a better connection, so I should be able to participate fully by audio.
Excellent. Well, I'm happy you're here, not breaking your streak of not missing a council meeting. From my perspective, I have one city update, one housekeeping item for the council members, and then one request for adjournment. Before I do those three things, thank you to everyone for public comment that spoke. Like mentioned by Councilmember Bewley, there will be another time to discuss the flock cameras as a new business item sometime before the election. That was the motion we made last time. But y'all are welcome to join us every council meeting. We value public comment, and we appreciate your activism and you still showing up and sharing your thoughts and perspectives and feedback. So now for the city update, I had the pleasure of also joining my peers on that delegation trip to attract the Chinese Olympic delegation to Costa Mesa. Alongside of that, I also attended one community outreach meeting for the Shalimar community. As you guys may know, we're currently building out the Shalimar Park in District 4, but next to that park, there is a vacant lot that the city owns, but there's no plan for that space yet. So I know a lot of folks in the community have been talking about having a community center, having more green space to play soccer. So it's really fun seeing the community come out. I did miss the official city one, but I did make the community one. So I figured it kind of balances out a little bit. For the housekeeping item, for this meeting, just to help myself keep things more organized, we'll be using the request to speak. What that means for you guys is when you click the mic to speak, instead of it turning red automatically, it'll give me a cue on my screen so that I can let you guys speak. That way I'm not overwhelmed. And finally, I would like to adjourn the meeting in honor of a dear friend, Rosa Elena Muniga Caño. I have known her most of my adult life, and she passed away recently from lung cancer. So I like to end the meeting in her honor. And those are my comments for tonight. With that, is there a report from the city manager today?
Yes, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I have a few recognitions tonight that I want to make the council and community aware of. Each month, the city manager's office presents an award to an employee who's exhibited exemplary leadership For July, the Assistant City Manager, Alma Reyes, presented the award to our Finance Department Payroll Coordinator, Lindsay King. Unfortunately, Lindsay couldn't be here tonight to be recognized, but I'd like to still say a couple of words about her. She's been with Costa Mesa since 2021. She brought 7 years of municipal experience from the city of Fullerton. She always tackles challenging payroll issues with patience and professionalism, and payroll's a big deal with anyone who's working. Lindsay always goes above and beyond and is ready to assist coworkers and share her knowledge. She always has a positive attitude, she's reliable, she has a calm demeanor, and earned the trust and respect of her colleagues, making her a valued resource within the finance department and a trusted partner to all the departments across the city. So congratulations to Lindsay on this well-deserved recognition. The other thing that I would like to mention tonight is that the city has a new battalion chief who's here with us this evening. Councilmember Gameros recognized our new battalion chief, Justin Horner, so I just want to say a few additional words. He was recently promoted from captain to battalion chief. He was hired in Costa Mesa as a firefighter paramedic in 2005, promoted to fire captain in 2017, and most recently served as the administrative captain assigned full-time to the EMS division. Chief Horner has served as the primary point of contact for all things related to EMS. As I mentioned, Chief Horner is in the audience tonight, so please join me in congratulating him on this well-deserved promotion. And I know Chief Pyle is looking forward to the much-needed assistance in the administrative functions up on the 5th floor. And also tonight, congratulations to Police Lieutenant David Casares. I had the honor earlier this morning, along with many city staff, police department personnel, current and retired, to attend the last call and final radio sign-off for Lieutenant David Casares, who retired from the Costa Mesa Police Department after a distinguished 3 decades in law enforcement. Lieutenant Casares started his law enforcement career with the Costa Mesa Police Department in October of 1995. While serving in the department, he earned not only a bachelor's in criminal justice, but also a master's of public administration from Cal State Fullerton. Throughout his distinguished career, he served in numerous assignments, including patrol, SWAT, logistics, vice and narcotics, gang investigations, property crimes, and crimes against persons. In 2013, he was promoted to the rank of sergeant and was recognized as the Costa Mesa Police Department's Supervisor of the Year in 2018. In 2019, he was promoted to lieutenant, serving as an area commander, commander of the Telecommunications Bureau, and administration lieutenant. Most recently, he served in the Professional Standards Bureau, where he led the implementation and modernization of departmental policies and managed internal investigations with professionalism and transparency. Lieutenant Casares has left a lasting impact on both the police department and the community it serves, so congratulations, Lieutenant, on your well-earned retirement, and we're going to miss you. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. That's it.
Thank you, City Manager. I'll now turn it over to our City Attorney for her report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. I have nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Councilmember Moore.
When you get to the consent calendar, I'd like to pull item 7. Thank you.
I'll just get there. So now that we're on consent calendar, all matters listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be acted on in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a member of council or public chooses to pull an item for discussion. I will note that Councilmember Bewley and Marr have requested to pull consent item number 7, and Councilmember Gameros will recuse himself on consent calendar item number 3, warrant registry. Madam Clerk, does the council or public have any other items to be pulled apart from item number 7?
No, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. Can I entertain a motion, please?
Move the balance.
Second.
Moved by Marr, seconded by Reynolds. Can we please call for the question?
Second. All right. Councilmember Pettis?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilmember Bewley?
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros. Yes. Councilmember Mar.
Yes.
Mayor Stevens.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, City Clerk. Can you please read the title for the pulled item?
I guess hold on a minute. This is consent calendar item response to Orange County Grand Jury Report State Housing Mandate.
Okay, is there a staff presentation? I'm seeing some folks come up, so I'll think that means yes.
Just here for questions. Thank you.
Okay, so how about we do this? Since Councilmember Bewley pulled it beforehand and Mar pulled on the floor, we'll first give it to Councilmember Bewley for comments and questions, and then Mar, and then we'll proceed for count questions from everyone else.
Okay. Appreciate that, Mayor Pro Tem. Yeah, so item number 7 on the consent calendar, it's the response to Orange County Grand Jury Report State Housing Mandate. First, I'm in support of this, and I'll eventually get around to making a motion on it to move forward with it. But this was one of those items on the consent calendar that struck me as it's dealing with a topic of significant public interest. And one, it was educational for me to see how this fits into this process. And for members of the public who are here viewing, it deals with, there's a grand jury letter that has reviewed housing element and some of these issues that are the county's dealing with and all the cities are dealing with. And I'll ask some questions on it. But, you know, we're right now in the thick of housing elements and zonings and FDC, and it just seemed appropriate to educate members of the public, myself, and kind of just pull this item, primarily to shine a little light on it. So that's where I'm coming from. That's why I pulled it. And just a couple questions. And it's always just a couple questions. First off, can somebody elaborate to me what is the grand jury here in Orange County, and what's their role in drafting this letter?
I can start on that. I don't know that I have a fantastic answer for you, but it sort of depends on the topic. And I kind of like to think of it a little bit like an audit. You know, they do a review of a particular topic and they have findings and recommendations. For this particular grand jury report, the topic is the mandate of housing. The topic of housing mandates. So there's a lot of information in the grand report about the regional housing needs allocation. And in addition to that, you know, the rapid increase of state legislation that removes a lot of local control as it relates to housing, and the framework under which local governments are now operating within that. You know, there's a lot of reference into the report that obviously local jurisdictions must meet state law, and that's part of the findings of the report. But how do they navigate the framework that is constantly changing at a really fast rate and provide transparency, inform decision makers, inform the public? So a lot of the findings and recommendations in this particular report are related to that.
Let me break it down a little bit. First, I kind of want to walk through process. So the grand jury themselves, those are selected countywide for individuals who are impaneled to review this particular topic. Is that correct?
Could I
Sure.
jump in here,
Sure.
Mr.
Yeah,
Mayor
just
Pro
kind
Tem?
of want to set the table foundationally, and then I'll get into the substance of
Yes.
what they've actually done. So grand scope.
You have it right, except for the very last part. The grand jury is a group of people who are selected based upon usually their application and their qualifications. They serve for a year, and they choose a number of issues that they decide to investigate over the term of that particular grand jury. This grand jury selected the issue of housing mandates as one of its many issues that it looked into in this grand jury year.
Okay. And then, so they get impaneled. They speak, if you will, or they do their investigation, if you will, on behalf of the countywide. It's not specific to any particular city. Is that correct? Okay. And then they look at this breadth of housing mandates and a number of things that you just commented on, and they draft their findings and recommendations report. That's the first step so far, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And now what we're dealing with tonight, they then send that out to each city, and we have an opportunity to review, comment, say we agree, we disagree, or basically, and this is what we're looking at tonight, a response that city staff has put together to the findings of the county.
That's correct.
Okay. And before I get into
Grand jury.
Yeah, the grand jury, excuse me. And before I get into that, how does this, obviously, we have public comments who come up here with issues that are on the community's mind, and they convey it to us here on council, and then maybe we get it onto an agenda, and then we do something about it. The housing element, these housing mandates, they seem kind of ominous. They happen up in Sacramento, and they come down here, and they impact all the cities, and they impact everything throughout the state. How does this grand jury report, our response, once they gather everything from all the cities, how does that get into the system, if at all, to inform future policy, to inform or impact what the state is dealing with? Where does it fit into that process?
Well, that's an interesting question, because the fact that any particular county grand jury may reach specific conclusions about a particular legislative scheme, for example, may or may not have any ultimate influence on what the legislature does. The grand jury's job is to investigate issues that do affect all of the cities in the county, or typically do, as well as the county. And they are endeavoring to put information out that will ultimately influence legislators, whether they be local or statewide, on issues that they view as critical community issues.
So it could be, so there's not a direct pipeline to impact legislative decisions, but it can be used, I would imagine, as some sort of persuasive document. If I'm a lobbyist, or if I'm somebody on behalf of a city who wants to see some change, we can point to the time, expense, expertise, public knowledge that went into the grand jury to address this issue. Then it's vetted by all the cities in the county. So there is some weight behind it, and it could be used as a persuasive tool.
There is, and grand jury reports are often cited in support of different legislative and policy directives.
Okay. All right, and with that, the report, and why I pulled it, one, kudos to staff. Obviously, what we received for our consent calendar was kind of the synthesized down after you guys have gone through what I imagine was the weighty report, and then staff with legal counsel provided their response. But I just wanted to highlight a couple that were interesting to me. These were the findings of the grand jury. In recent years, the California legislature has enacted an unusually large and burdensome volume of housing-related laws intended to strengthen compliance with state housing mandates. I don't know if we needed to impanel an entire grand jury to come up with that conclusion, but I thought, okay, that one, and I like city's response that we agree with this finding. Finding 2, housing mandates are implemented through RHNA, or RHNA, process that often lacks transparency and relies on complex methodologies that are difficult for local officials and the public to understand or meaningfully challenge. Since I've been sitting in this seat up here, that seems a pretty accurate representation of what I've experienced, and it was interesting to see the grand jury make that type of comment. City, shockingly, when I got to our response, was that we agree. I'm going to skip F6. RHNA allocations are unrealistic and not attainable within the current planning cycle due to limited available land, built-out urban conditions, infrastructure constraints, environmental factors, and public health and safety requirements. Again, I thought that was an interesting finding. I think a number of our members on Planning Commission would agree and concur with that type of a finding. And shocker, the city's response, they agree with that. It's obvious in my time up here on council as we're dealing with this and we're taking input from members of the community where the cities, cities where we all belong. And it was just, to me, on balance, as I was reading through this, I thought, boy, they're getting it. I mean, what we're seeing down here on the street, here in the grand jury level, they're seeing it countywide. F7, residents in Orange County consistently express a desire for local planning decisions to reflect community priorities, including but not limited to neighborhood character, safety considerations, the environment, and open space preservation. I tell you, when I'm out there on a regular basis, talking with constituents, that is what you hear out there. And the city agrees with that finding. California regulatory construction costs, permitting fees in particular, present substantial challenges for private housing developers, particularly those delivering affordable units. And then the city's response, I thought this was interesting, and I'll cut to, additionally, private developers, including affordable housing developers, request incentives like reductions to building code requirements, waiving of impact fees, and relaxing of other code requirements to help the project from a financial standpoint. However, relaxing of these requirements is not often beneficial from a quality of life standpoint, and communities often bear the repercussions of these decisions. Kudos to the city's response on that. I think I agree with that 100%. A finding that I probably had a sense of, but it's interesting to see that the grand jury is F9. The cost of constructing a single affordable housing unit in California typically ranges from approximately $500,000 to $800,000 per unit when fully complying with current state regulations. New low-income housing is generally not financially feasible without public subsidy, and the city agrees with that. F11, because public subsidy is limited and highly competitive, cities seeking to produce meaningful quantities of low-income housing must rely in part on private development incentives, often resulting in higher overall development densities and unit counts than the RENA allocation. Now, this is grand jury, countywide. This is what we're experiencing here in the city, or at least proposed from certain venues. So again, I pulled this just because, one, kudos to the city's response, kudos to grand jury taking up this issue, and but I just felt it would have been remiss for us as a council to let something of this significant on a matter that's of the moment right now. It seems that the primary issue that staff is spending an inordinate and a substantial amount of time on. We got commissions spending substantial amount of time on. It seems when I took on this role as a city council member, I didn't realize that 90% of my time was going to be on affordable housing issues, which is not a bad thing. It's a significant issue. It's an important issue. But sometimes it seems as though the solution is possibly part of the problem. But and at least that's what I gleaned from this. But those were why I pulled it, and those were my comments.
Thank you. Councilmember Marr?
I don't actually have any questions, but after you open it up for public comment, I've got some suggestions that I'd like to offer as part of a motion. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. With that, anyone else on council want to speak or ask any questions on this item? Excellent. With that, is there anyone from the public that wants to speak on this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, members of the City Council. This grand jury report, like other grand jury reports, I'm not that big a fan of, I'll be honest. It's written by people who are not experts in this field, who don't really know what they're talking about, if I'm just going to be honest. The grand jury isn't is made up of essentially volunteers who have spare time in order to dedicate a year of service, which would not be reflective of the entire county. And this grand jury report really reflects that. It's a report of people who have the time and have those beliefs that are expressed in that report that I and many others would disagree with. I also disagree with the response that the city is proposing to the grand jury report. I would suggest, I don't know what the timeline is. I know there's a set timeline to respond to grand jury reports, and I don't know if you have the time to send it back to rewrite this. But if at all possible, I would just cut down most of the paragraphs, most of the explanations that are after each of the findings and just say agree or disagree, and stop with all the rest of the commentary that are in those findings, because I don't think they're that accurate, and I don't agree with them. And I'm sure that there are many others that also don't agree. It essentially says, let's not build more housing, which is kind of sad, to be honest, especially since, we've approved Measure K, we're doing all these rezoning items. We need more housing in order to make housing more affordable. So I'm not happy with how this grand jury report or how the response turned out. Hopefully we can do something about that and clean it up a bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no one in the chambers, City Clerk, is there anyone on Zoom who would like to speak?
Yes, Cynthia, please.
Good evening, council members. In terms of people who are on a grand jury being not having knowledge, one of our former city council members was on the grand jury. There's a lot of people who sit on grand juries. Yeah, they have the time, but it doesn't mean they don't have the knowledge. So in the report itself, in terms of what we are responding to, when we responded that everything in that report is correct, yeah, let's go ahead and agree with it, and let's say why we agree with it. Because this city is, well, now we're facing a lawsuit from the state. And the state is putting us in a very difficult position in terms of trying to achieve RENA goals, in terms of providing affordable housing. The state says, oh, you've got to have so many units, but they don't say, and here's the money you need for developers, to assist developers to provide building units in a town that's basically built out, and the cost of land is very expensive. The other thing I'll say about the lawsuit is the lawsuit is really placing the city in a very difficult position. As long as that lawsuit is going on, we're not going to have a compliant housing element. And as long as we don't have a compliant housing element, we're not going to receive all this grants and funding that we've been receiving. If we want to move forward with this, we need to bifurcate the issue of the sober living home ordinance and have the state certify our housing ordinance in our housing element in the meantime. Thank you.
No further speakers.
Thank you, City Clerk. I will now close public comments, and I see Councilor Marr like to speak.
Thank you. I'd like to approve the item with the following amendments. And I trust staff to go back and add these things at their discretion as long as my intent is clear. So in response to F6, I think we also need to make the comment that the planning cycle is too short to deal with circumstances outside of the city's control. For example, Fairview Developmental Center. Trying to do that while we are also trying to get a housing element through is an unrealistic expectation, and they should accommodate the fact that there are cities that have similar circumstances. F7, the sheer number of programs to which we had to respond as part of the housing element process was outrageous. It's not just the state's purview to say we need to go build more housing. They also decided to take it upon themselves to critique and provide feedback on ordinances and other city policy that was far outside of the scope of simply allocating a RENA number. And then F9, I think we need to use this as an opportunity to emphasize the work that we are already doing on affordable housing. That includes Jamboree, the permanent supportive housing projects that we are working on, and the Housing Trust Fund. And so, again, if this is our response, our public opportunity to weigh in, that we need to talk much more specifically about what we have already done on affordable housing. And if I could get a second, I can speak to my motion.
Second.
All right, so no one made a formal motion on the button, so I'll give it to Councilmember Marr and Reynolds.
Oh, I'll do second. Oh, sorry. I was going to do the second, but that's good.
Mayor gets purview, so John, you get the second. But does anyone else want to speak on the? Yes.
Thank you. As Ms. McDonald said, the city is facing a lawsuit. We've been raked over the coals by the Attorney General and by the Governor on our response to housing. This is our public opportunity to come back and sort of state the situation under which we've been operating. I did clear this with the city attorney in closed session so that I'm not saying anything completely out of turn right now. But if we're going to go on the record and speak about the housing element process and our arena numbers, we need to highlight all the good work that we've done, and we also need to push back on the things that are frankly ridiculous. And I would add the number of programs. I would double down on no other city had to get Measure K passed and deal with FDC, and also got told to change a number of its ordinances. And so if we're truly weighing in on the RENA process, then we need to include all of it, not just the housing allocation numbers.
Thank you, Councilmember Marr. Mayor Stevens, since you seconded it, you go second. You have any comments to make?
No, I just that I really appreciate that this was pulled. Thank you to Councilmember Bewley. I thought his comments were good, and the additional language that's proposed by Councilmember Marr, I think, is very excellent. So I'm happy to second this and support the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. Now, Councilmember Bewley, you have the floor.
Yeah, just briefly. Obviously, I support the motion, and I already had the floor for a length of time. I just wanted to respond to one of the public comments that I just didn't read the report that way. I think it was commented the report seems to be sending a message, don't build more houses. That's not how I read the grand jury report. I think it read that your system is making it impossible for us to build more houses. And your system is not achieving its affordability goal by making it impossible to move projects forward and get housing built. So I just wanted to clarify that, but I'm wholeheartedly supporting this motion, and I think those were excellent amendments.
Thank you, Councilmember Bewley. Now, Councilmember Reynolds.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be supporting the motion. I like all of the suggested additions. I think it's especially important to use the example of the state actually making us ineligible for low-income housing funds, which almost tanked a low-income housing project that we supported. So an example of the system, not working the way it's intended to be, in a way that delayed a project and almost lost us 70 senior, very low-income housing units. I'll admit when I opened this item in our staff report, I was a little bit nervous because oftentimes the way we're working on housing in Costa Mesa is not reflective of the way broader Orange County thinks about housing. I've been, I think, as everyone knows in the room probably, very, very supportive of our work on housing, our prioritization of addressing housing for all members of our community, really recognizing the constraints that half of our community has on housing and how that impacts their lives. So I was nervous when opening the document, but I think staff did a really good job of balancing kind of confirming, leaning into our pro-housing position, confirming the important work that we have done and have in process, while calling out how difficult the process has been and the constraints that we've been working towards. So agree on adding additional detail on that. But thank you for all of your work on housing, and thank you for your work on this report.
Thank you, Councilor Reynolds. At this moment, City Clerk, can you please do a roll call vote?
Let's do Councilmember Pettis.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Councilmember Reynolds? Councilmember Marr?
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros? Yes. Councilmember Bewley? Yes. Mayor Stevens?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, City Clerk. We will now move forward to a public comment. Today we have 2 public hearing items tonight. City Clerk, can you please read the title for the first hearing?
Thank you. This is introduction and first reading of an ordinance entitled, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Costa Mesa, California, amending Title 13 of the Costa Mesa Municipal Code, updating land use classifications for various non-residential uses, including but not limited to personal services, artisan, studio, active entertainment uses, event centers and assembly uses, fitness uses, and other non-residential uses and standards. Presentation by Ms. Gregg, Contract Project Manager, and Ms. Garone, Planning Manager.
All right, Ms. Gray, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Good evening, council members. My name is Amber Gregg, project planner on this. Thank you so much for having me here tonight. It's always a pleasure. As was just introduced, we'll be going over amendments to our zoning code tonight. And I'll bring that up. All right. So just a brief introduction on this one. So our zoning code plays an incredibly important role in supporting our economic development efforts in the city. And our zoning code here has been largely unchanged since 1997. And to just put that into a little bit of context for everyone, the first iPhone came out in 2007. And so quite a bit has changed in our commercial uses that have evolved significantly in that amount of time. So the proposed amendments are in an effort to start to modernize our zoning code. Currently, our zoning code lists 155 different specific uses as opposed to having just a general category of uses. So these amendments support evolving business models, improve regulatory clarity, reduce reliance on similar use definitions. They help facilitate reinvestment and adaptive reuses of our brick and mortar facilities or developments, as well as clarify development standards in our code. So this is not a comprehensive zoning code update. This is a limited scope zoning code update. And our goal here was to target the top 10 economic development amendments, as well as change the definition or modify the definition of floor area ratio. So the big question is, how did we come up with these 10 amendments to select? So staff looked at the most common entitlement applications, as well as the reasons why those applications require a public hearing process. Then we reviewed outdated or unclear regulations. We also researched emerging commercial trends now, as well as anticipated for the future. And then we looked at feedback and research from business owners from the community. The Planning Commission was introduced to these amendments on April 13th at a study session. They had their first public hearing on June 22nd. There were questions about gross floor area as well as fitness facilities, and at that meeting we had 3 public comments letters in support, one of which had brought the topic of fitness facilities up, and those items were addressed and modified and presented to the Planning Commission at their July 13th meeting, where it was unanimously recommended for approval to you tonight. So what updates are we proposing? Well, first and foremost, they're all commercial updates as part of this. There are no residential proposals, and they have a range of different types of uses, including personal service, artisan studio, active entertainment, event centers and assembly uses, fitness studios, food halls and ghost kitchens, electric vehicle charging, sports clubs, and commercial kitchens. And the purpose of these was to, yes, add clarification to that, but mainly to streamline these types of uses in our review process while maintaining standards. In addition, we have 2 regulatory modifications. The first is height deviations. Right now, for height deviations, we do require a variance. The amendments before you tonight propose minor modification to be approved through a minor conditional use permit. And then as well as definition modification to floor area ratio to better capture those areas that don't add to the intensity of a use. In addition, we were able to do parking modifications and reductions where feasible. For example, our zoning code today has minimum parking requirements in some areas. So retail might have 6 parking spaces per 1,000 with a minimum of 6 spaces required. And if you're a 500 square foot suite, you're never gonna hit that threshold of 6 spaces. So we went through and eliminated those as part of the proposals as well. And then we also looked at ITE standards where feasible in order to update those too. So what exactly are the changes? So this slide and table is you can see on the left-hand side are those 11 topics that I just went over. The middle column is our current process in order to apply for those types of uses. And then the table on the far right, or the column on the far right, is the proposed process. So in the center, you're gonna see a lot of CUPs, which stands for conditional use permit. A conditional use permit is required to go to the Planning Commission for a public hearing. Other things you'll see in there is just needs of clarity. But on the right-hand side, you're gonna see a lot more permitted by right in there, which means that you can just come in, and that used to be permitted by right, of course, going through a building permit process if needed, and there's no need for a public hearing. So how did we achieve that? Well, a lot of these conditional use permits we've been working on, we've been able to identify what those standard conditions of approval are in order to let them go forward and not be a negative adverse impact. And we were able to bake those into the zoning code, so that way it's just a standard regulation and requirement instead of going through the public hearing process. So that is a brief summary on what the amendments are. And with that, staff recommends approval of the project as stated in the staff report and is available to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Gray. If anyone on council has any questions, please click the request to speak mic. First, you have Councilman Reynolds.
Yeah, thank you. Great presentation. When you started saying you always enjoy being in front of us, I doubted you a little bit, but after the presentation, I believe it. You sound like you really enjoy this stuff. I've got my detailed questions already answered. It turned out you guys already did the things that popped out to me. And I do want to congratulate whoever does the minutes for the Planning Commission meeting. They were super detailed, which was very helpful. And thanks to the planning commissioners for their diligent review. My question is sort of higher level on how we do this work going forward. You mentioned we haven't updated some of these things since 1997. We know we want to streamline these processes. We want to encourage new businesses. There's lots of evolution in businesses, especially creative businesses happening, which we want to encourage in Costa Mesa. So this was a limited scope. You called this a limited scope effort. What is the broader plan going forward for these kind of updates in the future?
Thank you, Councilmember Reynolds. I'll take that question. Typically, the department plans on doing at least 2 or 3 updates a year, and that is, of course, resource and workload permitting. As the council is aware, we have been involved in many housing-related strategic initiatives this year, but hopefully once we're over the hump on that, and fingers crossed. Starting next year, we'll get into a regular routine of updating things that need to be updated. I mean, even in the midst of this year, when we were pushing forward all the strategic initiatives, we were able, for example, to update the small lot subdivision ordinance. So now that, you know, just the 2 lot subdivisions, those are by right. So we were able to update small things like that. And I think recently we also updated the accessory dwelling unit ordinance. So we do regular cleanups along the way. And of course, anytime there's a legislative cycle, we take very great care in ensuring that we update the zoning ordinance to remove conflicts between our local municipal code and state law. So we have a regular cycle, estimate about 2 to 3 times a year, workload resource permitting. Thanks.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Bewley, I saw you were on the queue, but then you got out. Do you want to speak?
Briefly, thank you. I thought it was covered, but Captain Obvious here stating the obvious. First, kudos to Planning Commission. I think there are unsung little brother over there that deals with a lot of this stuff, and I count on them to really fly spec a lot of these things. And on this one, it looks like they did, and they got to a 7-0 unanimous vote. But yeah, just the general 10,000 foot view, it seems like this just streamlined the process. If we've got people coming to the city looking to get a permit to open an innocuous business, if there is such a thing, rather than put them through the cumbersome, burdensome process of a CUP and come before a planning commission. It looks like what we've attempted to achieve here is synthesize that down, see what are the typical issues that need to be addressed for anybody who's coming in with a business. And if they can be handled and checked off at the counter, we move them to the next step and on their way to opening their doors and getting their business started. That was the goal here?
Yes, absolutely. And I'll just elaborate a little bit. One of the reasons you see the predominance of conditional use permits as the current process is that the zoning ordinance was largely structured where if that use wasn't one of the 155 uses that Amber pointed out, that it would require a conditional use permit. And so it sent a lot of the new innocuous creative uses down the path of conditional use permit. The proposed approach is to categorize things in a way that if you're within a category, you're permitted by right. And that way, you don't have to necessarily be matched up to one of the 155. You just have to fit in a category, and then you can go with the proposed process, and the majority of that is to be permitted by right.
And question, if you do permitted by right, is there any vehicle, if you've got a disgruntled neighbor or a business owner next door or something, is there any process to challenge or question a permit by right, typically? And that's just a question I don't know the answer to, so.
Well, a permitted by right, it just has to meet the zoning ordinance, and once it meets the
as
zoning
long
ordinance.
as they've checked all the category boxes.
Correct.
Then it by right.
That's absolutely correct.
Okay, thank you. Those were my questions.
Okay, seeing no one else from the council, I will now toss over to public comment. If anyone would like to speak, you may come up now. Seeing no one, City Clerk, is anyone on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I'll now entertain a motion. Councilmember Marr, you have the floor.
This is so good. Like, could we have done this like 10 years ago? I mean, this is fantastic. I mean, and when I first opened the agenda report, I thought to myself, like, oh gosh, okay, things I got to look for are, you know, there's gonna be some kind of, I don't know, trampoline balls, something in the old Party City, and I was like, is that gonna be in here? I was like, okay, that's kind of covered. I was like, what about the EV charging? That was such a huge issue with the EV charging. I wonder if that's getting, well, yeah, they got that one. Okay, so like everything that I could think of that has come up, that's been funky, that we've gotten complaints, like why do we have to go through this process? Where I've like kind of like begged them to go through a CUP process rather than you guys trying to figure out how to put a square peg in a round hole, like, is addressed. So I'm very, very happy right now, and I'll stop talking, because that's just, thank you.
Thank you, Senator Marr. Councilmember Reynolds, you want to speak to the motion?
I'll just say a ditto to that. Well done. And I know it's...
Oh, sorry.
Maybe bad form to sort of plan for the next steps while you're in the middle of so many big projects. But I'll just say I'm excited for the additional sort of steps on this work, because as you know, last council meeting, we updated a part of our code that was dated back to 1984. Now we're updating a code that's from 1997, I think. Obviously, a lot of this is long overdue. There's a lot of hunger and need for it in the community. It's great that there's so many people who want to reinvest in our community, and we want to encourage that, especially for again, these small creative businesses. So one thing I'll be interested to chat about in terms of that future planning or planning for future code updates is the input process. I know, of course, you get a lot of input and real experience when projects come to the table and you see where they run into roadblocks. Thinking of other ways, you know, what are the projects that don't come to the table because people are anticipating those roadblocks, right? What are people interested in bringing to Costa Mesa that they're can't do because of certain parking requirements and never show up? So I'm interested in kind of that broader feedback, both on the commercial side, on the residential side. Excited to continue this work, and I'm glad you guys are in charge of it. Thank you.
Okay, seeing no one else in the queue.
All right.
Yeah.
Can I just can't help myself. Okay, so part of what I think is so interesting too is also to look back on like how the code has changed over time and how we have like learn to think differently about these things. And one of my favorite fun facts is that in 1967, Costa Mesa used to have a live entertainment ordinance that specifically called out go-go bars and how we should regulate go-go bars. And there used to be individual permits pulled for like specific go-go bars because that was apparently such a big thing here. And when I first got elected, there was one reference in the code to it still that I like seized on and used for like, 4 years is like why we needed to reform things. So anyway, all right, I just needed to add that fun fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Sir Mar. And again, I think the energy you're feeling from the council really demonstrates how much you wanted this. One thing I said multiple times is every time we make it more difficult for someone to get a business license or go through a CP process, that's dollars we're tangibly losing in the community. So to tighten up is really good. As we can tell, a lot of things have modernized since last time we looked at this, like EVs, like food kitchens. So really excited to see this go through, and I can't wait to see future cleanups as we progress through the code. And with that, can I call for the question, City Clerk?
Councilmember Bewley.
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros.
Yes.
Councilmember Mar.
Yes.
Councilmember Pettis.
Yes.
Councilmember Reynolds. Yes. Mayor Stevens.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you so much. Yeah, we'll clap for that. All right, City Clerk, can you please read the next title?
Thank you. This is continuation request of the Consolidated Master Fee Schedule. Staff is recommending the City Council open the public hearing and continue the item to the September 15th, 2026 meeting pursuant to the department's request.
Okay. City Clerk, for this item, do we still need to go to public comment?
You can open the public hearing.
Okay. So this time, I'll open the public hearing. If anyone in the public wants to speak on this item, now is the time. Seeing no one, I'll make a motion to continue the item.
And Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, just for the record, there is nobody on Zoom that wished to speak.
Oh, thank you for skipping that step. Cool. I see a second by Councilmember Gameros. Can we please call for the question?
All right, Councilmember Pettis.
Yes.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Yes.
Councilmember Mar.
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros.
Yes.
Councilmember Bewley, yes.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Mayor Stevens.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez.
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Look, I love the energy. I want to go home early too. So with that, we have now 4 new business items tonight. City Clerk, can you please read the title for the first one?
Thank you. This is Parks and Community Services Commission Annual Report, and to start the presentation is Mr. Gruner, Parks and Recreation Director.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem, council members and members of the community, as well as Mayor attending abroad. So the Parks and Community Services Commission meets monthly to discuss and make decisions on a variety of related topics in regards to parks and community services, which include, but is not limited to, recreational programming, recreation fees, special events, park and parkway related tree appeals, and capital improvement projects pertaining to parks. The Commission's focus this year was to create more meaningful opportunities for commissioners to contribute to policy and decision-making and to improve commissioners' education, so recommendations are informed, thoughtful, and data-driven. With that, I would like to introduce the PAC's Chair, Kelly Brown, and Vice Chair, Cheyenne Wright, to present to you the PAC's annual report highlighting the various accomplishments that the PAC's Commission has achieved over the past year.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, and City Council. We are really glad to be here tonight to talk to you about parks. And I just want to take a moment and acknowledge that we have one Parks Commissioner in the audience, Commissioner Ledger. Thank you for coming out. I'm really happy and proud to be a part of this commission. It's a lot of fun. We do a lot of hard work, but as you can tell from this photo, there's a great collegiality among the commissioners. Doesn't mean that we agree on everything, and we certainly have heated discussion about some items, but at the end of the day, it's a very, very hardworking commission, and so I just want to give kudos to you all for who you've appointed to this commission. We work well together. I think it's an example of just really strong collaboration. Do you want to fast forward this for why it didn't work? Where do I point? I thought I could work it. Do I point towards you? Next slide, please. Thank you. Thank you. So I know we've been before you before, and you have a sense of how committed PAX is to processes. And so we just wanted to take a moment and reflect upon what the past year has looked like in terms of this process. One of the things that we've been focused on as a commission is creating much more meaningful opportunities in order to weigh in on decision making. There's a whole host of things that PAX will look at: tree removals, going to events, bringing that feedback back. But what I was hearing from commissioners was that we really wanted substantive things to work on in order to make improvement. And that's what we've been doing as a commission. Part of that is that we've needed some education as commissioners in order to do that job well. We've asked for it, we've been getting it. It includes a lot of analysis of data and data reports. That takes time. Commissioners have asked for that time in order to do the thoughtful reading, that analysis, and then to think about how those reports fit together, which I'll talk about in a minute. And I will just say PAX has really evolved over the 5.5-ish years that I've been on it. So we're really grappling with major issues, trying to do the work so that you all have additional data in order to make decisions. Something that we've been particularly focused on is around the capital improvement projects. PAX has wanted to make recommendations to you all so that you're in a better position to decide what we want to fund in terms of our parks projects. That's something that's required working closely with staff in order to understand the process. It's not something that we all walk in with on day one, understanding the terminology, understanding the history, understanding the limitations. You all know this. This is what you do. But for parks commissioners, we've needed some education. So we've been working closely with the city to get up to speed. And we've been moving the process forward so that we're actually having conversations at the end of the year so that we're ready to start deliberating in like February and March so that we're on track to give you recommendations. So we're really proud of that. It's given the commissioners a sense of a responsibility to make decisions. Next slide, please. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So just going to break down a little bit about how it is that we have achieved better systems and just a really good team approach to assessing all of these different projects or master plans. So starting at the top, basically, this all goes back to the CIPs. And parks are incredibly emotional and sensitive to everyone. We all want to see our neighborhood park get funded. And so after a couple years of CIPs being presented to us and not feeling like we really had a framework of how to attack it while also remaining objective and of course trying to carry everyone's values equally, we developed our values assessment framework. We all worked on it together. We approved it unanimously. And it has seriously been like a secret weapon of our commission. We now bring it to every project that we assess. It helps with filtering public comment. It helps with filtering personal experiences with a park or not. And that is how we have approached this long list on the right hand of looking at things like the senior transportation program. That was a really difficult thing for our commission to hear and see and make decisions on for financing. Looking at our parks and playgrounds assessment, which we brought to you guys the last time we were here, it directly informed those CIP recommendations. We've gotten to see some really special things, first time ever, like the tree canopy assessment. we were presented about the Fairview Development Center specifically to talk about open space, green space, like what is that going to look like? How is that going to coexist with the golf course? Of course, we've had many amazing parks get worked on this year. We've advocated for neighborhood parks. The skate park expansion was really exciting. And then, of course, our Fairview Park master plan draft. I was even here when we had the open space master plan draft as well. So I will say we love to read. We do our reading. And we also love to dig into the numbers. So really, I think one of the most meaningful things is that we've moved the CIP process to way earlier in the year to give us time to digest it, give us time to verbally process as a commission where we're thinking we would like to recommend funds go, which is actually a great framework I would recommend even for Planning Commission. And then, of course, like be able to come to you guys, bring those recommendations before you guys are on a time crunch as well. So in general, out of that values assessment framework, just important themes are community engagement, educating our commissioners, and as far as like resident engagement, making sure that that's actual meaningful, going to the community engagement, not expecting them to come to us. Next slide, please.
So we have a variety of programming priorities coming up. There's been a lot of interest in community gardens, and so I'm excited to share that we have it's not technically a subcommittee. Director Gruner, help me out. It's a study group.
Yeah, it's a working group.
It's a working group.
Yeah.
We have a working group to look at the gardens across the city. Really interested in data collection. So think about focus group with current gardeners, focus group with interested gardeners, looking at plots, looking at locations, comparing to other cities. Like this is the kind of substantive work that your parks commissioners are doing. We will be working on some long-term recommendations. We're not there yet. You'll be hearing from us in the future, but that's something that's ongoing right now. And then just to reiterate, we are clearly really, proud of this capital improvement process. So we are beginning that in the next month or two so that we're prepared to make recommendations next year. Next slide, please.
Okay, so now we're kind of sharing with you guys what we envision for the next upcoming year, things that have worked well for us in the past year. And a big part of that, I think, and maybe this is because I have a finance background and Commissioner Dorn Parker also is very savvy with data and budgets, is we want to be a part of financial conversation because where you put your money is where your values are. But like I said before, we want to have a framework that's objective, maybe even scalable, and can be handed off to the next Parks Commission. And so, of course, as far as budget and administration goes, the CIP is like the big thing of the year. But I'm actually going to start at the bottom of my checklist here. Some other things that are like funding related that we would like to start looking into, also paired with, of course, what we've heard from the community is evaluating opportunities for a second dog park in the city and evaluating a community gardens expansion program, whether that's a new plot or plots at new locations, or just making the most of what we already have. And sometimes that's all you have the budget to do. So we're actively working on that. As far as the dog park goes, a really big problem, as I'm sure you guys know, that we hear a lot about is dogs off leash. So what we're trying to do is channel undesirable behavior into churning it into somewhere it can go. And T-Winkle is not accessible to the entire city. So whether that be dog park in East Side or trying out a pilot program, those are the kind of like creative conversations we're having at PAX, and we're all really motivated to have some type of, positive reinforcement opportunities for our dog owners. And then as far as like day-to-day operations, there's some other things we've been looking at. We've been looking at any park-related ordinances, very similar situation that you guys are looking at with planning, looking at our memorial donations and tree removal policy. So anytime someone wants to donate a tree or a bench, it comes to us. Same with wanting to remove a public tree that's maybe right in front of their house. And then most recently, we did what you guys just rescheduled for September, already came to us. Huge win right there. Okay, the fact that it came, that all the parks fees and community services fees, so youth programs, senior programs, if you want to rent a park, if you want to enroll in after-school programs, that all came to us. Similar theme, those prices have not been raised in like 20 plus years. You guys are gonna see the recommendations we made, but it was so exciting because we were all primed to be able to contribute meaningfully to quite a lengthy financial document. And what we found is that not only has CPI not been increased, but we also don't have aggressive non-residential fee multiples on our fees. So if you don't live here, you're basically paying the same thing as a resident. And compared to our neighbors, neighboring cities in Orange County, that's very rare. So we had 2 meetings. We worked with the consultant where I'm not going to give away too much, but after making some small incremental changes to fees across the board, the consultant let us know that we're looking at about $250,000 more in general funds and a higher cost recovery on our programming. So we are thinking long term here of like, we don't want to cut any of our programming. We want it to be sustainable, and we want to be able to come to you guys with things like a dog park opportunity, or we want to tackle 2 neighborhood park playground replacements next year. But we're not going to come to you with that without saying we're also working really in depth on the financial side of that and trying to come up with our way to also garner more of that revenue to cover those services. Next slide, please.
So part of that, as you can imagine, is sometimes slowing the process down just a little bit. So those REX fees was something that we decided we couldn't make the decision on in one meeting. So we wanted more detail, we wanted a bit more work. And then as a commission, we were able to reach out to targeted groups in order to get more public input. And so that's something that speaks to our core value. And it also allowed us to make recommendations that we feel really comfortable with. And that's just one of our goals overall. So we're working with these data reports that come from the city. It could be the tree canopy assessment, the parks assessment, which I know you've seen, the pedestrian master plan, et cetera, et cetera. We're looking at those individually, but one of the interests of the commission is that we want to look at them in an integrated way. So how do they relate to one another, and how do they allow us to then make better recommendations, for example, on a CIP project? There's a long-term investment that we are doing, which is that some of this data work will allow us to make decisions in the short term, but some of this is so that we can better position parks for the future. And so it speaks to what Vice Chair Wright is saying in terms of how can we then utilize that to invest in our parks. This is a level of analysis, though, from the Parks Commission that feels new, and that is made possible because of the kind of commissioner education and the deep dives that we've been able to do in the data reports. Next slide, please.
So just a couple additional things that we're kind of looking ahead at as a commission. I'm just going to start on the right hand with events. So events are a big part of what this department does. It's also oftentimes our residents' first experience with the city. And so we get a lot of resident feedback on our big events. We have been talking about new types of events like bringing back Picnic Day, which was an OG Costa Mesa event category. And then while I do appreciate that people read our slides and read them in detail, in regards to concerts in the park, we get a lot of differentiated feedback here, right? We get people saying that it should be moved. However, it's also a beloved location for concerts in the park. And so we just wanted to bring that to your attention. There is not a unified commission opinion on changing the location of concerts in the park. However, there has been a desire for events like concerts in the park or the very recently successful Songs in the Canyon, having that musical entertainment event presence in other neighborhoods, I think, is really in high demand in our community. I live near Lions Park, so that would be amazing. I also live near Heller, where we had like an orchestra symphony event. And so I think in representing the commission here, like, we both want to hold the tension of, like, this is a difficult topic that gets brought up to us quite often from both perspectives. However, we are coming to more seeking direction in the sense of, could this be something that can be expanded throughout the city? There are partners that are excited to host concerts or musical events of all sorts throughout our city. And so we did want to get that on your guys' radar. And something we've already been working on is the quality of specifically community outreach at these events, right? So making sure we're not just, once again, expecting people to come to us. Whether that be we're building the most amazing park and you may not find out about it until you see the chain link fence go up, or we are actively seeking advice on community gardens. And so we are doing our best to always be proactive and outgoing towards our community where they're at natively. So on the left-hand side, we have Commissioner Education. These are the things that have come up for us that we're just curious to learn more about. We think there's more there. One is the joint use agreement with Newport Mesa. Obviously, Harper Park kind of blew this topic to the top of everyone's minds, but where I think we're still going is there's a lot of schools that are not open to the public after school hours in neighborhoods that are park deserts. So we want to dig a little deeper. These are not action items. These are more, treat them like study session items. We just want to know more about them so that we could at least ask the right questions and do a little bit more research. If you're not familiar, the Brightview and Priority LLC contracts, those are our landscaping, our arborists. Those are the people responsible for cleaning our parks. And we've gotten some mixed reviews from the community on their performances. And once again, just want to know more about what are we supposed to be expecting them to do? What's like a fair performance review of what they do? And then when we see big things like the senior transportation program, we always want to make sure they come back. We care a lot about them. We want to make sure it's turning out okay. So that's going to be coming back to us. And just in general, I think any way that we can professionally develop them, develop our commissioners, I mean, like even, for example, when we were looking at the fees schedule, terms like CPI increase, they kind of just get thrown out there. And so ensuring that we equip our commissioners with financial education of how to look at a budget and how to look at what a 30% increase would be, just kind of like plotting it out a little better, I think is something we're working on continually. Next slide and final slide.
So, I mean, I hope you can see that there's a bit of a culture change that's been happening. And so even having something like the senior transportation program return to parks is noteworthy, right? So it's not a one and done, moving on to the next, but we actually want to check in. We've talked to the public, we've gone to those meetings, we've made recommendations, you've moved them forward. It's an opportunity for us to check back in and to get a sense of whether things are working or not. With that, I would like to open it up for questions or comments. And thank you so much for listening to our presentation.
Thank you, Chair Brown and Vice Chair Wright. I see Councilor Pettis. Do you want to go first? You just click on it again, and then there you go.
There we go. Thank you so much, guys. That was great. It was nice hearing from you, because that's what you guys are here for, to give us good advice and do the research. And I appreciate all the efforts you guys put into this. For real, it's nice. So this is. Do we do this every year? Do we? No, I don't
This is our first time doing this for you, and we're very excited for that part of the process development.
So it's a good thing. And I just a question. Before we even think about touching concerts in the park, I know you get a lot of different feedback on that. That'll be something that you guys aren't just going to come to us and say we're doing this, right? We're going to have. Okay, because that's a big one.
So my family and I, we're huge live music fans, and we go to concerts all the time. I love concerts in the park, and that is in my district, right? So I feel a sense of great responsibility for it. We would not do that. We would want to make sure, like going back to our values, that there's an opportunity for public engagement, that we're listening to that. We're really interested, though, in thinking about enhancements, so that is an opportunity for us to think creatively about. actually issues of equity, so that there are other parts of Costa Mesa that might want to have access to concerts like that.
Great. Yeah, I'm not trying to step on your guys' efforts because, again, I think it's great what you're doing. I just want to make sure that council as a whole is involved in the big ones that are got lots of opinions. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilor Pettis. Anyone else from council want to ask questions? We'll go Councilor Reynolds first.
I feel like I'm trying to keep a lid on so many ideas. I'm not going to throw all those out here, but I want to first thank you for the presentation and all of the work. Oh my gosh, it's hard to keep that lid down. Okay, so I love this stuff. I want two things. I want to touch on the parks comment and kind of share an aspirational goal, and then I want to talk about open space. So, I think it was Songs in the Canyon. This is the third year I think they did it, and that really, like, bringing a concert even like closer into a community, I feel like just like sparked this like, I want that too in my community, and it was so well received. And one of the things I've been thinking about is like, how do we do that or enable that for a lot of other neighborhoods? Wouldn't it be great if every neighborhood had, did I say Songs in the Canyon, right? I'm a West Side representative, but I'll acknowledge like East Side doesn't have any city-supported concerts in the park or Songs in the Canyon. One of the beautiful things about Songs in the Canyon is that the city supports it, but it's something that's run externally, right? And so one of the things we have to think about across the board, because we do have finite resources and there's so many great ideas in Costa Mesa, is how do we partner with and enable community members, nonprofit organizations, companies who are interested in throwing these events, right? And it goes back to the previous item on the streamlining. How do we make it as easy as possible to host local activation events, whether it's music or art or a picnic? I love that idea. So, okay, that's one, the lid's still on. Intentional open space, I wrote down. This is a really, really, really important one that I should land in the jurisdiction of the Parks Commission to give input on, and that I'll admit I feel regretful is that we haven't made better headway on a real plan to address our city's park deficit. Yeah. It's something that we know we have. We know people want more parks. It's an issue that's very, very present right now as we look to build more housing and grow our communities and potentially lose opportunity, or we will lose some opportunity for open space with the planned development at FDC. We don't have a plan or a vision for how we're going to create more open space to address our existing park deficit in Costa Mesa, and we really need a strategy for that. There's not a lot of open fields in the city to solve it with 100 acres at a time. We also want to bring parks into neighborhoods, so I would encourage you to think about the creative ways to both identify opportunities for park space, maybe similar to what it sounds like you're doing for the community gardens, and then come up with a structure or strategy to identify that opportunity and then really advise on implementing that opportunity as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, those are my top two. Thank you for all of your work. Mm-hmm.
All right, Councilmember Bewley, do you still want to speak, or are you good? Okay, we'll do that after public comment. I think we're done with council comments. Thank you guys for your presentation. At this time, we'll open up the floor for public comment. If anyone in the chamber wants to speak up, now is the time.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Hi, good evening. My name is Matt Garcia, resident of Costa Mesa. I want to thank the city, Costa Mesa, for all the great parks activities, including concerts in the park, which just completed 3 concerts over the last 3 Tuesdays. They were very great, and a lot of the community came out to enjoy it. I'd just like to point out that The current draft Fairview Park Master Plan document does not include any mention of Conscience Park as a recreational use for that park. And therefore, it is not protected at all in that document. Thank you.
Thank you so much. City Clerk, anyone on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, with that, we'll close the public comment. Can I entertain a motion?
Move that we receive and file the report.
Okay, I see a motion by Reynolds and a second by Marr. Councilor Reynolds, do you want to speak to your motion?
Same comments you already made.
Thank you. Councilor Marr?
No, just thank you for all the great work.
All right, now Councilor Bewley. The floor is yours.
Motion. I just want to say kudos and very impressive in your energy and your engagement and your involvement. And I know when I first came on to council, one of my concerns was that a lot of these public, volunteer, very important commissions, people donating their time, engaged in they're passionate, seemed to be a little underutilized. And it was invaluable. And invaluable in the CIP process, invaluable in how you guys went through and ranked the various parks and were systematic about it. And I've said this before, you know, you sit up here on council and we're asked to address everything from ferry shrimps to a 1 week to high density housing the next week to parking lights the next week. And to be an expert and to get granular on all these various topics, I'm a big advocate for information. And if we've got passionate, appointed individuals like yourself engaging with departments and staff and you know, coordinating and engaging the community, gathering information, providing that to us, and boy, to hear that this is the first time we've done this, I mean, kudos to city manager for getting us access to these committees and these commissions and giving you access to council. I think this is how city government's supposed to work. So thank you for that. And yeah, I support the motion.
Thank you, Councilor Bewley. I too will be voting yes on the motion. And with that, can we call for the roll call, City Clerk?
Councilmember Bewley? Yes. Councilmember Gameros? Yes. Councilmember Marr? Yes. Councilmember Pettis? Yes. Councilmember Reynolds?
Yes.
Mayor Stevens?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
Thank you, City Clerk. Can you please read item number 2?
Yes. Award of the on-call sidewalk repair project, City Project number 25-20. Presentation will begin with Mr. Seth Rahman, Public Works Director.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, council members, and Mayor Stevens, we are here to present information on the sidewalk repair project. Sung Yang, our city engineer, will make the presentation and we'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, and also the honorable members of the City Council. My name is Sung Yang, and I'm your city engineer. And tonight, we'll give our department will be presenting the award of the on-call sidewalk repair project. Just a little bit of background. The Public Works Department has initiated a program that assists the sidewalks throughout the city for deficiencies. Remedies for repair include grinding and also reconstruction. It depends on the scope and scale of the assessed damage. In particular, this on-call sidewalk repair project consists of sidewalk repairs. This is varied locations throughout the city. It's based on a priority process, priority basis, throughout the city in terms of the repairs that are called for. The scope of the work addresses repair and reconstruction of damaged and deficient sidewalks, curbs and gutters, driveway approaches, spandrels, cross gutters, etc. Anything that's concrete infrastructure, this project will be focused on. Moreover, Americans with Disabilities Act, ADA, the accessibility ramps that are constructed and upgraded when staff deems necessary. So before you is a GIS map of the sidewalk assessment, and just a little bit in terms of the color coding. The green represents less than 1 inch of uplift, which staff recommends grinding. Yellow represents greater than 1 inch uplift, which is The recommendation is grind and replacement, or either grinding or replacement. And red is damaged sidewalk, which we recommend as complete replacement. So what you see here are these 5 zones, and these are not council member zones, but these are the zones for within the sidewalk assessment for repair of the sidewalks and also the concrete infrastructure. So right now, for this particular project, Zone 2 is currently underway, and the remaining zones will be forthcoming in future years. In terms of implementation of this project, staff recommends removal of existing deteriorating concrete areas, the compaction of subgrade to prevent settlement and subsidence, installation of any root barriers if necessary, construction of concrete sidewalks and driveways, curbs, gutters, etc. And right now, the current area of focus for repair, is what you saw in the map before you, is Zone 1. So this is not a comprehensive list, but the thing is, here's an example of some of the sidewalks to be reconstructed. The photo to your left is Monte Vista Avenue, which requires repair because of the tree uplift. Second is Virginia Place. That's the second photo. Other places is Westminster Avenue, which is, and also Cirque Street. These are also areas where it has encountered some uplift, and the recommendation is for complete replacement of these sidewalks. So a little background on the bid opening. It was conducted back on May 6th. The contractor that staff recommends to award is SNH Civil Works. SNH Civil Works has completed concrete infrastructure projects throughout the city of Costa Mesa before. The contract amount is $237,600, and this project is financed through the gas tax and also Measure M2. Just for the council's information, staff is recommending that Access General Contracting was deemed non-responsive. Also recommend rejection. So staff recommendations is as follows. We make a finding of the CEQA categorical exemption. They adopt plan specs and working details for this on-call sidewalk project. They reject the apparent low bid submitted by Access General. Award a public works agreement, or PWA, for construction of the second lowest bidder, SNH Civil Works, in the amount of $237,600. And also allow for a 10% contingency. And lastly, authorize the city manager and city clerk to execute the PWA and future amendments to the agreement within its authorized limits. So that comes to an end of our presentation, and we're happy to entertain any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sung Yang. Council, any questions? All right, I have a question just to make it concise. So actually, you go first, Reynolds.
Of course I have a question. This is sidewalks. Can you go to slide 3? This visual you shared, I love. It's really, really great, and anyways, also reminds me of Christmas, so I think I'm especially happy about it. So I want to make sure I understand. This is the outcome, I guess the first phase of the outcome of the sidewalk assessment, citywide sidewalk assessment project that we supported a couple of years ago, right?
That's correct.
Fantastic, right? And multiple reasons for that. One, our focus on improving walkability. Two, I know we were seeing an increase in the number of trips and falls. So this is cool. This is the first visual I've seen. I know we've gotten some data on the outcomes of that work. So all of the green I see is grinding, and my understanding is we do some grinding in-house. We can do sort of immediate response, but we do have a separate contract for just the simple grinding, right?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay. And then I guess yellow and red would be what's covered in this contract. So many, many, many fewer locations where you need to do actual reconstruction. Of course, those are going to be more dangerous situations because of the lift, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then the sidewalk assessment, there's also another piece that's looking at missing link opportunities, right? So this is repairing existing sidewalk infrastructure. We're identifying also where we might want to add missing links, but that would be addressed through a separate effort and CIP work, of course.
Yes, yeah, we have separate efforts for separate projects for missing link sidewalks and priority sidewalk repairs too, yeah.
Okay, that's helpful. I just wanted to understand sort of the full scope And this is the amount for this contract, I think it was 230, whatever, $270,000. Is it, I mean, your best estimate, so this is going to be sort of an incremental budget amount to what we typically budget for this, because we're doing this proactive work. As our best guess would be probably similar in the other zones as well.
That's correct.
Okay, okay. It's helpful to see. I think I'm also excited because I expected that number would likely be a lot higher just based on, guessing at sidewalk conditions. So it's great to see that it's really, really within reach over a few years to improve our sidewalk infrastructure. Okay, thank you for sort of painting the whole picture for our sidewalk work. Appreciate it.
And that's why I wait, because I know if I wait, Councilmember Reynolds will answer the questions for me. Seeing no one else in the queue for council, I'll now give it over to the public in chambers. If anyone in chambers would just speak on this item, please come up now. Seeing no one, City Clerk, anyone on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Okay, I will now close public comments. Can I get a motion on this?
Yeah, I will move staff recommendation.
And I'll second. Do you want to speak to your motion, Councilmember Reynolds?
I mean, I'll just quickly follow up on what I already shared. I'm really, really proud of this work. I'm excited that it costs less than I anticipated it would. I think the visuals would be helpful. Referring to my comments at the beginning of the meeting, I think this work, this sidewalk assessment work, is a great thing to share in our Costa Mesa Minute. Us proactively and then quickly identifying sidewalk issues and then quickly addressing them is something that I think a lot of the community would really appreciate as well. Thank you for this work.
No comments on my end. So can we call for the question, please?
All right, Councilmember Pettis?
Yes.
Councilmember Reynolds?
Yes.
Councilmember Marr?
Yes.
Councilmember Gameros? Yes. Councilmember Bewley? Yes. Mayor Stevens?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Chavez?
Yes.
Motion carries 7-0.
All right, thank you. It's come to my attention that should be a little slower as folks walk up to present, so I'll give Mr. Martin a time to get settled. While we do that, City Clerk, can we please read the next item?
Thank you. Signal modernization for systemic safety improvements, federal project, city project number 26-01, and presentation begins with Mr. Seth Rahman, Public Works Director.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and council members, we have Paul Martin here for the next two items, actually. So he'll make the presentation and we'll be happy to answer any questions.
All right, good evening. Again, I'm Paul Martin, your Transportation Services Manager. So rounding out the Public Works presentations, we have two items. First, I'm going to speak about our signal modernization for systemic safety improvements. So some catchy names there. We really start off with our planning level studies. 4 years ago, there was a local roadway safety plan that identified improvements throughout the city to address safety. Based on that planning level study, using documented crash history, we were able to pursue a grant that secured about $4 million for the city to address safety improvements at traffic signals. Almost all of the signals are going to be touched. We have 131 traffic signals and 128 will be addressed using this grant. The grant pays for about 90% of the design and construction, so only about 10% is required through the local match. Our project team has advanced the design already, and we're now ready to advance towards construction. So construction would provide safety improvements such as retro-reflective border backplates, shown in the photo in the upper left, countdown pedestrian signals, shown in the bottom left with the number, showing the amount of time remaining for pedestrians to cross, upgrading the size of the traffic signal heads for better visibility, and a leading pedestrian interval that provides a head start for pedestrians to begin walking in the crosswalk. Battery backup systems, which really provide that redundancy in the system if we lose power through our local service provider. And then coordinating with our public safety team on emergency vehicle preemption. So trying to help make sure that we are moving ambulance and fire trucks through those traffic signals more quickly. Our team did issue an RFP for contractors to construct the improvements. We received bids, 10 bids were received back in May. The lowest bid, a responsive bidder is Econolite Systems. The contract amount is just under $3 million, including our contingency or the approving authority. The funding source, again, is this grant funding and then the local match. And the local match, we're looking to use the OCTA Measure M2 Fair Share funds. Estimated completion for construction would be next spring. Given the grant actually provided a higher envelope of grant funding for construction, our team does want to make use of the remaining grant amount. If we leverage an additional $71,000 of local funds, we can free up or make available another $640,000 in grant funds. We can then add additional safety improvements to this project. They do have to be constrained within the eligible list that Caltrans requires. Again, focus on traffic signals. So there are some locations that we could add additional backplates or those retroreflective plates, edges, the yellow edging on the signal. Maybe things like digital blank out signs, sign that is dark when not in use, but then when needed, say a pedestrian is about to cross, we can have a no right turn arrow that would illuminate where there's high pedestrian activity and to support that leading pedestrian interval. There's additional locations where we might be able to do the countdown pedestrian signals or emergency vehicle preemption equipment that maybe wasn't included in the original grant. So all those additional items we think we can implement. We have to work that out with Caltrans, but we are asking you to approve that additional funding to then make leverage of that grant. Everything I've talked about so far is the contractor for construction. We also, as part of the staff report, are asking for approval of the construction management and inspection services vendor. As part of our RFP, we did get 4 proposals and interviewed 2 teams, and our highest ranked is C2 PM for a cost of about $450,000 to provide that support. Again, the grant funds would provide the 90% of the funding and then local funding for the remaining. The staff report has a number of recommendations which are provided on the screen related to the contractor, the construction management team, and then the additional approving authority related to the budget. We're available for additional questions or any comments. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Martin, for the presentation. Council, any questions? No, it's okay. I'll wait.
Thank you for the presentation. Clarification and questions. So the PSA for management and inspection services, that's also covered by the grant, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And then my recollection is that that's been one of our strategies lately, because we're approving so many CIP projects that we're adding to your list, and we only have so many people to manage them. And so I remember a very intentional strategy to say, hey, let's try to cover management as well. Is that working? It sounds like it's working. Just love to get your feedback on sort of recommendations on continuing that.
Yes, Councilmember Reynolds, a good question. We do employ, for example, consultants to design our projects. So we hire them to help with that. We have a very limited number of actual inspectors to go on the field to do construction inspection, because we inspect all the utility work, the private construction work that our residents embark on, our businesses take care of. So that leaves 1 or 2 people left to do other CIP projects. So we do require outside consultant help to support our construction management services. Now, one thing that complicates this kind of project is it's a federal grant project. So the federal paperwork is significantly more, and we need that extra help for sure on these kind of projects.
Got it. So the contracted support is actually helping with the paperwork as well?
That's right.
Great. Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no other requests for council members, anyone from the public want to speak? All right, perfect.
Good evening. I'll be quick with this one. I haven't had a full chance to really review it, but I did want to ask, I don't know if you guys are allowed to answer, whether the pedestrian detection systems, particularly the ones that we're asking about adding, are something like simple motion detectors, which would detect pedestrian traffic and then could light up those, no turn on right signal sort of things, or AI-powered video cameras that use AI to detect human shapes. One of those would be a lot more likely to be welcomed by the general public, and the other, if better known, is a lot more likely you might run into some opposition, especially later. So I want to make you aware of that, if it's possible to ask that question, and if it's not possible to get that answer, to follow up a little bit later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Members of the City Council, just wanted to speak in support of this project, which will have safety benefits for all different kinds of road users. Pedestrians and bicyclists who are allowed to use the LPIs will benefit from all the new additions across the city. Emergency vehicles that are out and responding to an event will also be benefiting from the safety of having emergency vehicle preemption, and also the drivers who might be going through an intersection during, let's say, a blackout, who have the battery backup systems to support those signals when that is occurring. I think the only thing that's missing out on this very good project is transit priority, which maybe you can look into that with the extra funding. But otherwise, it's a very good project, and all the improvements are very helpful to everyone using it. I know in the intersection at Fairview and Wilson, a few of these improvements were already made, like detecting, being able to detect bicycles. I don't know if that one was one of the ones on the list. And I know that intersection already has the retroreflective back plates. It has the blank out right turn on red sign. So already we're seeing these improvements. Already that intersection looks amazing, and I can't wait for the rest of the intersections in our city to look like that. Thank you.
Thank you. City Clerk, is there anyone else on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. So two quick things before I ask for a motion. The first, to answer the gentleman's question, we do not have up to you to answer your questions when you're in public comment. We have to just listen to your input and feedback. And second, the mayor just informed me and the city clerk that he has lost reception, so we can now vote by buttons. So with that, can I get a motion on this item?
Okay, I'll do it. Yeah, I move staff recommendation.
And I'll second it. City clerk, can you call for the question?
Okay.
Oh, my apologies. Go ahead.
I need the mic again. Yeah, can you respond to the question that we got in public comment about how the pedestrian detection system works?
Yeah, you bet. So for the pedestrian push button, typically at a traffic signal, once the button is pressed, that tells the computer running the traffic signal that there's a pedestrian there that wants to use the crosswalk. So that would trigger any blank out signs or equipment that is specific for pedestrian crossing.
Yeah, so this system has no cameras. It's you have to be there, push a button to say, I'm a pedestrian, I'm here, I want to cross.
For pedestrians, for cars, sometimes we use equipment that detects the object, not much more than that, just physically the object in the roadway, because it's a more defined space and size and so on. So that gets used sometimes strictly for the traffic equipment.
Okay, and that's no data storage on that one, right? That's sort of a real-time traffic management. Okay, great. Yeah, no, this is also a very exciting project. It's really amazing how much your department is doing. I wanted to highlight because it feels like a milestone project in that this project will, I'm reading the staff report, fill the remaining gaps in the preemption network for emergency services. So that's great. I really, really like the no right turn arrow additions where we have LPIs in certain areas, because I have witnessed some near misses on that. So congrats, thank you.
I have no comments, so can I call for the question? And again, be by button vote.
Councilmember Marr, please.
No.
Okay. And
Yours freeze. Okay.
motion carries 6-0.
Excellent. We're on a good pace. So last item of the night, City Clerk, can you please read the title?
This is amendment to the professional services agreement for the construction management and inspection support services for the Adams Avenue Bicycle Facility Project from Harbor Boulevard to Fairview Road, federal project and city project number 25-11. And again, presentation begins with Mr. Seth Rahman, Public Works Director.
Mr. Mayor, Pro Tem, Council members, again, I'll transfer this to Paul Martin, our Transportation Manager, and we'll answer any questions you may have.
All right. Again, Paul Martin, the Transportation Services Manager here at the city. Now I'm going to pivot and talk about our Adams Avenue Bicycle Facility Project. The Adams Avenue project is an improvement on the roadway Adams Avenue between Harbor and Fairview Road. The project has constructed Class 2 bicycle lanes and Class 4 cycle tracks by narrowing the median on the roadway. No reduction in travel lanes was implemented. Construction began in February of this year, and we are expecting to finish construction in September. There were some notable construction challenges that we saw during the activities over the past few months. The soil was identified to be more unstable and had some issues with really water retention and the quality of the soil. That required additional excavation and compaction testing, as well as import of higher quality soil that then could accommodate new landscaping and trees, as shown in the bottom right photo. The project also, given how busy the roadway is, we wanted to really phase the construction activity the best we could. So we had to have dedicated stages and phases so we could manage the traffic that was maintained throughout the project. And given the soil, there was some additional materials testing required. The project was able to upgrade the quality of the separation for the bikeway between plastic bollards that you see in some parts of the city, separating the motorists from the bikeway. The upgrade from the plastic was to this concrete extruded curb. We highlighted this in the snapshot recently, so hopefully you saw it. We're really excited about the implementation of this and being able to pilot this first on Adams Avenue and really have a lessons learned opportunity. There were additional inspection services throughout the project related to the plants and electrical needs. However, all the grant funding or the project funding for the construction was adequate. So we were seeing construction challenges related to primarily construction management and inspection. So given that, the construction manager is a company called Z&K Consultants. They are requesting an amendment for an additional $64,000 to finish out the inspection and monitoring. A lot like what we talked about earlier this evening, there's an extensive amount of paperwork as well, given it's a federal grant for this project. The funding for the amendment is available through your previously approved project budget for this project. So the recommendations are identified in the staff report of appropriating another $64,000 for the construction management team, and then authorizing the amendment through the city staff. With that, we're available for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Is there any questions from council? Okay. With that, thank you. I want to give it over to the public. Anyone make a public comment from the chambers? Seeing no one, City Clerk, is anyone on Zoom?
No, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you. I will now close public comment. Can I get a motion on the floor? I'll make the motion. Motion by Chavez, second by Mar. I just want to say thank you. Sorry, I want to move staff recommendation. Thank you for this good work. Adams Street's a very big, popular street for us, and to have these improvements is really good for the community. And thank you, Department, for all the good work you do. That's my motion. That's my comments.
Nothing to add.
Okay, let's call for the question. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, again, congratulations. I just want to acknowledge, we approve projects here. We have very, very little experience in like the day-to-day of how to implement these projects. I know it's hard. I was amazed in the staff report when I read that you were able to, within the budget and within the design, switch from, one separation strategy to one that's like much safer and more comfortable for people. So just congrats on doing that. I was really thrilled that you were able to do it and just did it within the contract. So congrats and thank you.
Okay.
Of course. Okay. Just waiting on a vote from Reynolds, Marr, and Bewley.
Just waiting for the call.
Is Bewley? Motion carries 6-0.
Thank you, City Clerk, and thank you, Council, for having me be the presider of this evening. At this moment, I will adjourn the meeting. And oh, go ahead, Reynolds. Go for your last comment, your last foray in the comments.
Yeah, I just wanted to circle back. Ethics policy was raised in the council comments at the beginning. I just wanted to put on the record I would support bringing that back. I think we need, because Andrea Mar and I, Councilmember Mar and I were the only ones who supported that going forward, I think we need another council member to request that to come back. So I just wanted to register my support for that.
Okay. Thank you. And at this time, I'll now adjourn the meeting in honor of Rosa Elena Munguia Caño. She will be missed. Thank you.